podcast. We are 45 minutes in, and welcome. We're just now starting, so you're not late. We're gonna be going till 3 o'clock in the morning, Californian time. All right. So welcome. If you like the long live streams, you're in luck tonight. Welcome back. Let's start this over. Ty City, I apologize for not doing you justice. For those who hate my sunglasses, I'm sorry. I appreciate everybody for donating. And my phone's still off right now. Let me plug it in my charger. We're starting this over. Here we go. We're starting this over. Good to see y'all. Hey, y'all didn't hear the little ear massacre thing I was talking about, so I'm just going to use this moment in time to hopefully hope it doesn't happen. But if it does, now you'll get to hear what I was talking about earlier.
All right. As for my case, I am the first person my son sees in the morning. I'm the last one he sees at night. You see what I'm saying? These two different situations, they play out differently, right? Again, you'll even see this with guys who are stepfathers, where they actually become involved with the child's life, and then the woman plays the games. You see what I'm saying? So the guy who is already used to like not being directly involved in that child's life, he's fighting a different fight. All right. Now, the man who is involved in his child's life heavily, okay, it is different whenever somebody tells you that they are going to take that child out away from you, or they're going to make it extremely difficult for you to continue being involved. This is a different game. All right. This is a different game.
All right. So I'll kind of recap and I'll speed through everything that I said really quickly to kind of cover. So I'll be playing like a good chunk of what Ty says, and then I'll speed recap, every point that I had, because I pretty much remember. All right, yes, I understand. I'm once again, I'm 30. I don't have any kids, so I understand that I don't understand speaking from where a parent and where Ty is coming from, speaking from where a father's coming from, speaking from where a dedicated dad's coming from, a guy who wants to be in his child's life, who looks forward to having a legacy of generational successors to his name. I don't see, or maybe I don't feel everything that a father feels when he has this happen to him, when he has the right to be a parent taken or stripped or snatched, kidnapped, taken from him, stolen from him, right? To where not only can he not now be exactly what he wants to be, but on top of that, he could be legally punished or held liable legally. He could potentially have his life permanently altered, physically or actually financially, whatever it might be. He could have his life changed very substantially because of what I know. People, y'all have been cash apping to try and tell me and everything. God, I'm so sorry, y'all. He could have things messed up. So I understand that I don't fully understand. I want to say that going into it. Ty's a father, and I said this before. He sounds like he's a really reasonable, logical type of guy. I can understand that we don't agree with a lot of things here, but I have conflicting messages with everything going forward. Let's continue with what Ty's saying going on.
I want to make sure that we lay all of this out because I've been hearing a lot of different stuff, and it's just like I don't think people understand. Okay. GA said these, yeah. Grown man said no need to play it. We already said no. I'm not playing it. I'm not playing it. I'm not playing none of that. We're just gonna get down to the bottom. We're gonna get down to the bottom of it. All right. There's a difference between denying somebody parental rights and taking somebody's parental rights. You see what I'm saying?
No, we have to make one thing very, very clear. As I said before, both of which, denying or taking, never justify murder. All right? Never.
Now, this man, okay, is been involved in his children's lives. Now, I was sitting back listening. I was sitting back listening to a lot of different people talk about the case and you know, what happened with him and his baby mama, and they was trying to get these restraining orders. Then they got all these police reports and stuff like that. And this is what I want you guys to understand. This is what I want you guys to know. Okay. This is straight stacking. Okay. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it stacking.
Okay, explaining stacking once again. Stacking is using the legal or the court system against you, trying to levy your emotions and what you want to do against something or system that does not care about your emotions as a man or as a father. If you are a good father, trying to be in the child's life, but rather only cares to placate to the mother being the person who has the primary interest of the child, right?
Okay. Make sure, okay, because this is what I want to do. I want to bring the solutions. I want to bring the prevention measures. I want to make sure that everybody who can hear my voice understands the games that are being played. I don't want to have a discussion about this shit.
So this is a disingenuous message, all right? Because as I said before, and be careful, earphone users, turn your volume down really quickly. If you're watching on speaker TV something, turn your volume down. I'm going to press the home button. I'm trying to see what's going on right now with OBS, and so you might hear a loud noise. You might not, all right? Hopefully you don't. All right, there we go. We should be okay here, right? So a bit of a disingenuous statement, because as I was saying earlier, what he's saying is I'm trying to prevent this from happening. And I don't know if he's speaking from the women's side or from the guy's side, but once again, from the title of his video, fatherhood is not something to mess around with. It's seen or something as a warning to women, which is telling women, hey, listen, don't piss off the wrong guy, because if you piss off the wrong guy, then he could permanently jack you up. He could F you up. He could mess you up, right? So that's how I interpret this to be. But once again, the manosphere is split. And I said this a couple minutes ago, but you didn't hear why I was saying this. So now you know why I'm saying this. Now you know why I said that the manosphere is split, because half of the side shames women for being married, half of the side shames women for not being married. All of them shame women for not being married. All of them shame women for being married and wanting to leave a guy who's abusive, yada, yada, yada. I mean, you can't win, right? You can't win. But it's interesting because in this case specifically, right? In this case specifically, both sides, men and women, want the same thing. And so Ty's saying, I want to provide solutions. I don't want women to be shot and killed. I don't want men to lose their lives and to have to go through the child support battles, the courts, and I don't want you to have to, take away life and things of that nature. It should never get that bad, fam, which is pretty much what he's saying right here. Hey, I understand. I'm trying to provide a solution. But once again, he ties a part of the manosphere. And so the manosphere preaches that all women need to, be married. And being married, you're going to have kids. Naturally, if you have kids, even though the numbers say that a two-parent household lends itself over to a more well-rounded child growing up in a more rigid or a more, I can't even think of the word. Whatever planned out lifestyle. I'm trash right now, right? Even though the numbers say, hey, two-parent married household, the children do better, right? Even though the numbers say that, in this case, what would protection be? It's a question. What is protection? Well, I assume that Ty means protection. Hey, I want to make sure that this doesn't happen. Protection would mean, hey, no more false, taking the children away, false claims of, a child being molested or the father abusing the child or this, and that, because under the pretense of divorce or under the pretense of, something going on domestically, it's always under the assumption that the guy did something wrong. I think that that's what a lot of guys are saying in the society, and that's what the manosphere echoes, is that the court systems make us out to be the bad people all the time, and the women automatically get the children. They don't get to hear our stories. They don't care about our stories. We have to pay child support. And so the message that's echoed by a lot of these guys, especially the guys who have children, is that the system is set out against us. And so by nature of feeling like this system is against you, then you by default feel like, in this case, the child issue is you don't have as much field to fight on. You don't have as much ground to battle on, and you're running or you're fighting an uphill battle, right? So that's where these guys approach the situation. And so, but once again, it's disingenuous, because how do you protect something like this from happening in the future? Well, I want to protect this from happening. There's only two different ways you can protect a murder from happening in this case, or there's only a few different solutions in the context of this case. One of those is that you tell every woman, don't piss off a guy, because if you piss off a guy, and if you say the wrong thing, if you disrespect him, if you do something that just pushes him too far over the edge, then he might do something, and he could do something to you. But it makes sense. It's somewhat justified because, well, in this case, you took away his children. It's somewhat justified. The problem is that there's no way to form an effective boundary line on what's justifiable and what's not justifiable. Well, if somebody really cares about, if somebody really fervently cares about, being respected. If this guy just cares about respect, and you got to respect me, this and that, and yada, 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 to a point to where he's very unhealthily, radically attached to this idea of respect, more so to where it's a narcissistic control or this overt need to control and dominate physically, mentally, and through conversation, through physical abuse, every single relationship in his life. Then disrespect to him would mean not doing every single thing that he says, which would justify you didn't listen. And so once again, from the outside looking in, if you were to read a news article, if you were to look at the words, or if you were to look at a court story, he would say, oh, well, you know what? She was being really disrespectful. She was saying crazy stuff to me. And these types of things happen in court cases all the time, right? Well, you were disrespectful, yada, yada, yada. Next thing you know, you're getting slapped upside the head. Guys joke about this in the Manosphere, right? Kevin Samuels has joked about domestic discipline. Women saying things to guys and not taking the hint or the key word, the safe word, right? Hey, you're saying too much. Be careful. Be careful because you're saying too much. This is one of the ways that I think Tie City is trying to say, hey, I'm trying to prevent this from happening, right? Which is that, hey, just don't antagonize any situation. Don't claim anything falsely. Don't talk badly about anybody, yada, 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 which, once again, from the outside looking in, that's all reasonable things to do in a relationship. I think that you shouldn't talk badly about anybody. You shouldn't put false claims on anybody. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. However, every single case that I'm finding that I look at, if I take enough time and study the details, I'll see that there were messages, signs, and there was a lot going on in between. Then I'm getting text messages, so now I'm like paranoid. So hold on a second. You guys know I can't read a text. All right. Hang on a second, y'all. Hang on a second. Give me like 2 minutes. All right. Give me like 2 minutes. Give me like 1 minute. I got an important phone call to make. I'm sorry. All right, my apologies. Had to do that. You probably heard that call, so it's an important call if you heard it. Anyways, getting back to it. All right, getting back to it. So that's the first thing that I think guys would say, right? Don't antagonize the situation. Don't lie on it. Don't do this. Don't do that. That's one thing that they would say. That's the first solution. Well, what's the second solution? Well, the second solution would mean prevention, which is something that Ty said in the video here. He said, I'm trying to have prevention, proactive, right? Not reactive measures for guys on this channel. That's what the Manosphere speaks on, right? Proactive, not reactive. And we've spoken about proactive, not reacting to the situation, right? We've spoken about that as well. Well, how do you be proactive in a situation where you could potentially lose your kids? The only solution to that would mean potentially not having kids or not being in a relationship, both of which are pretty drastic. And we see by the numbers that most people aren't able to actually achieve. Most guys don't have the monk-like discipline needed to either not live with relationships, not to have sensual relations for the rest of their lives, even though a lot of guys are having problems having any sensual relations right now, period, right? In the off chance they do get it, I think that the proclivity to not use any type of protection whatsoever and to just, enjoy the full deed is that much higher. The risk is that much higher because if you're not getting something as much, if you're not in the bed as much, hell, with the condom, I'm just want to get in the bed and I don't care what happens because I want to get my full thing on since this doesn't happen anymore, right? This doesn't happen as much. And so I think that it's a bit, once again, disingenuous to say, oh, well, we're proactive in this and yada, yada, yada. Well, there's no way that you can essentially know well, you can to some extent. Whether or not you're going to have to go through child support, you can to some extent. There are always signs, I believe. However, the big issue and why I say that is because a lot of guys out there that are going through these issues don't know who they are as a people or as a person. They don't have an identity of who they are, what they look like from the outside looking in. They don't have internal maturity, emotional maturity, and a lot of things that you need necessary in a relationship. A lot of guys do have that. A lot of guys are great guys. However, I believe, and from what I've seen, most of the time when you have a situation or instance like this happen, it's not that the guy is just outstanding, flying rainbow colors. And this is the case. I'm sorry, this is the case in this instance, right? This guy, on the outside looking in, right? He was the nurse, he was the father, he was the guy that wanted to be in his child's life, and so guys like Ty could empathize with him. They could say, well, we understand why it happened. I understand why he did it. I'm not saying it's right. I understand why he did it, because he was this well-rounded, balanced person. But in order to understand why he did it in that manner or sense says a lot, right, about your perception of the situation. And obviously it's because Ty has gone through this type of thing, an instance in itself. But once again, we're speaking about death here. We're speaking about a loss of life. We're not speaking about something where it's just the end of a relationship. We're not speaking about something where it's a divorce or things of that nature. We're speaking about murder and suicide in this case. And so this is a very serious situation. And it just, hey, I understand it. Not necessarily. I don't think we understand enough, to be completely honest with you. I don't think you get it enough to understand just how deep of a ripple this is, just how crazy, how insane of a situation, how dangerous relationships are for women nowadays, how dangerous it is to not only just have the child, but to realize that the person that you had a child with maybe wasn't the best person to have a child with, and then to start to make corrective action to get out of the relationship while being bashed for trying to get out of the relationship, right? And I'm not saying that's what happens all the time. I'm just saying that that's what happens a decent amount of the time. But let's go ahead and erase all that. Let's just say that this is the perfect father situation, and that this was a perfect guy, and that he did everything right. Let's say that he did everything right? How scary is it to think that a man who's perfect, who did everything right, had the ability and the capability to do what he did in a recourse, right? Who doesn't have the ability to go and kill their ex-lover then? If a guy who's perfect, if a father who's perfect, if a man who's upright in society, who does this, who does that, who's doing everything right in life, if a man like that doesn't have the ability to control himself, then what hope does anybody else have? Right? It's another very disturbing balance to the argument I see. Well, this guy was good. He was in the child's life. He did everything good, and the women just took it all away from him. People that go around shooting people typically aren't the most mentally sane or reasoning, right? Even if their child even if the children is taken away from them, a mentally sane person doesn't think, okay, my children are taken away forever, so I'm gonna kill the women now, and then I'm gonna kill myself, because killing yourself also takes your child or your children away from you, through you taking yourself away from your children. And so this concept of having a guy that's fortified in his mental function and capability is disingenuous from the manosphere. This concept that guys are being strung along, and guys who just get strung along all of a sudden just snap, right, is fundamentally flawed. Because if you snap, that means you didn't have the greatest mental grasp over your situation. Listen, let me tell you something. I've had my heart broken. I understand the burn, the actual heart pain, the actual physical manifestations of having and feeling a broken heart. I understand that you can quite literally die from a broken heart, if I'm not mistaken, right? Still, nobody's in the Zoom meeting, by the way, all right? So for people who are saying that, the panel thing, I'm going to stay on y'all, all right? I'm going to stay on y'all, right? It's a fundamentally flawed concept nonetheless, because the solution of you taking yourself out is not a solution. The solution of you taking the mother out in this case, it could be argued, hey, maybe that is a part of your solution. However, you get caught, you go to jail, you still don't see the children for the rest of your life, or you get put on child support. So this concept, these guys are thinking, logically this and that. No, for the most part, this guy wasn't. And so understanding why he did it is still a disingenuous and a very disturbing train of thought, right? Very disturbing train of thought, because to me, that doesn't make very much sense. Even if my children are being taken away and I had no idea where they were, and I just did not know, and I had no clue, in no instance would I think for my solution to be 1 second that I'm going to off the girl and then off myself because I want my children. I want to stay in my children's life. Moreover, people who have the ability to reason and normalize and speak the way this guy did, because if you watch the interview once again, the guy was just speaking like, well, it's about that time. I'm going to go ahead and have to, I told her I was going to kill her, the audio input, the volume is so loud right now. Hopefully the volume's not like clipping too bad. Anyways, I don't care about any of that. Right? The ability he had to just normally reason, right, something that's as severe as that is very disturbing. That lets me know he wasn't mentally that well. He wasn't all there. Regardless of whatever you think or whatever angle you try and take this approach or this argument from, the only perspective and approach that I'm consistently able to see is that there was no excuse ultimately for this to happen. There is no understanding for this to happen, because the outplay, the outcome of this is that the children now have less than anything that they would have ever been able to hope for. And so let me just continue this.
From you just being verbally abusive to a woman, okay? If they have that on file, they are going to stack that. Do you understand? They are going to stack that. All right? They're going to stack that. This is why I'm telling y'all. I don't care how cool for school you is, how masculine you are. You don't want to get the police. Yes, you pay taxes. Put them people in her life. Okay? Put the police in their life. Put CPS in their life. Put the family court in their life. Put all these, because what happens is they put all those people in your life.
A bit disingenuous once again. I'll look at the comments right now. We're at 17 minutes 18 because I'm going to lose this spot. Not all women do this. Thank you for the $30 super chat from Self Love Heal. She said, this is why your commentary is needed. Sad story. So this concept that all the women put the people, thank you once again for everybody that's donated and contributed. Thank you, Self Love Heals, again, for always donating and contributing. I appreciate that, Self Love Heals. They put the police in your life as a father. They put the system in your life. That's not the case. We've heard, and plenty of women, not plenty, but women have come up saying that in order for you to get certain things in the government, in order for you to get housing, in order for you to get certain food stamps and this and that, if you have a child, you have to list the father of your child. If you don't list the father of your child, then you cannot get child support. Upon receiving the information of the father of your child, the government then goes on to follow up and ask a series of questions or to do an investigation to figure out of whether or not the child's father is in the house. If the child's father is in the house, then they don't give you that much support. They don't give you any child support. They don't give you that much food stamps or as much food stamps as if you didn't have a father in the house. Once again, this is the Manosphere's argument of them being kicked out of the house so that the women can live off of the government, using the same fundamentally flawed logic. If we just go ahead and take it for what it is, right? Just take it for what it is, right? There's some flaws there, right? There's some flaws there. Somebody said Thai City Fire in the chat. Somebody said facts, Thai City. I need to look at Thai City's comments. I'm going to look at the comments here in a second. Hold on a second. Thank you, Self Love Heals again. Right? I'm just saying, this is just how I look at the situation. I'm sorry, all right? This is just how I look at the situation. Okay? Hold on, I was getting ready to say something. Sorry, hold on a second.
Because what happens is they put all those people.
Let me say something else about this, right? But this is what knowledge is about. You have to know how systems work. You have to know how child support works. So you have to at least go to Google and figure out how does child support work. Lots of women have not wanted to put the child's father on child support, but they had to because the child's father just didn't want to be there. They got into arguments. Maybe the girl was tripping, yada, yada, yada. Maybe the girl was tripping and she still didn't want to put him on child. Listen, I know girls right now that don't want to put their children's father on child support because they're scared of him right now. There are subscribers on this channel right now that I've spoken with. Right hand to Jesus Christ, Almighty God. Crucify me if I'm lying. Send my soul to hell. I've talked to women right now on my channel that don't want to put their baby daddy, their child's father on child support because they're scared of him. They don't want to, but they had to. And some of them, guess what? One of the girls that's on this channel, she just upped and moved away. She left everything behind, just upped and moved away, and was homeless with the child in her car. Okay? So I need you guys to understand. I know a lot of you guys think I'm pandering, and, guys, I know the good guy that goes through it and yada, yada, yada. But you need to know that a guy going through the court system and things of that nature isn't necessarily the worst situation that a parent can have. Is it bad? Is it horrible? As a father, can it just rip your heart out and stomp it? I'm absolutely 1,000% positively sure it can, okay? 1,000% sure it can, okay? But this entire argument is missing a lot of different factors. It's missing a lot of different elements, and it's missing a lot of different conversations and points that need to be made and taken into account, both sides that happen. Now, Ty City did talk about, and once again, I'm going to go ahead and play this, all right? Once again, the guys in the chat that are reading this, are really agreeing with Ty City. He has a supporter base. A lot of these guys are saying the same thing happened to me. Stacking the cards against you is what, James Sandman said. We read these comments a few minutes ago. Behind every successful black man, there's a black man who guided the nigga. Mama can't help but so much. So fire if I put the white man in her life. Hey, there's Bitcoin. Bitcoin L's in here right now. So shout out to Bitcoin L. He's in here right now, right? Let's try and keep some respect in the chat. So there are guys that agree with them, yada, 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 right? Guys that agree. Let me just continue playing this a little bit, and then I'll get back to some more points. It's going to be a long live stream, I feel like. I'm still pissed about this whole volume thing. I can't believe this, man. It's crazy.
She going to call them people.
I'll have to edit this video. This will be a video I have to edit because obviously I can't keep the low volume in. So, hey, if you're watching this now, you caught the live stream. Congratulations. You caught the live stream. And the chat's not going to be on the replay, unfortunately.
People, all right? Whether you go to jail or not, nigga, it's on file, all right? And it's your word versus hers. Okay? Another thing that hit me, you got to understand. You got to understand, we're dealing with, and even in this scenario, you're dealing with a man who has no priors, okay? A man with no history of no criminal background, right? Think about this. Nobody else in society.
I'm just taking, that point for what it is. I think that's fascinatingly disturbing, right? Somebody that doesn't have any criminal history, they can just make a video like that and say, hey, I never thought I'd be that guy. Here we go. Psh, psh. Right?
Had any issues with this man. Just these two women. He went through his whole life, no criminal background, and only had to deal with these two women. Okay? Nobody else seen the value in putting them people in his life. Nobody else. Went through his whole life. The rest of society is fine with this guy, except guess what? Okay? And this is the case for a lot of dudes. This is the case for a lot of.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case for a lot of dudes. I'm going to look at your comments. We're at the 20-minute mark for the most part. So if I lose my spot, y'all just remind me. I don't think that's the case for a lot of dudes. We had a $5 super chat from the LOGICSPHERE. Says their baby daddy's broke. That's why they won't get anything. Okay. I didn't, baby, LOGICSPHERE. I hear you on that. Reading some of y'all's comments. Betty Gal says, how does he know that it was just those two women? I don't know. Last comment says, you never see their true colors until a woman ends up pregnant. India says, TF, is he talking about crazy as cat? It doesn't happen overnight. I see people are being mean to Bitcoin. Self-Love Hill says, $5 educated lame strikes again. I think that's a scary part. Once again, just taking things from a very balanced perspective, I feel like when I listen to Ty City's perspectives and conversations, I'm like, hey, I sense that he has balance. I sense that he has logic. But once again, it's disturbing because even those who are the quote unquote savables amongst us, even those who don't just participate, and because he's outright spoken against Kevin Samuels and guys supporting Kevin Samuels outright. He's talked against it. He's admonished, guys for supporting these women bashers and things of that nature. But it's tough because his message, and even guys who aren't necessarily on our side all the way and that talk from perspectives of understanding how and why women do certain things most of the time, even though he's not fully in that lane that we're in, he attests to a lot of the things that I feel like he can attest to some of the things that we say, or I feel like if we were to have a conversation, he would agree with some of the things that I say, right? But more so, the main points that he stand on lend themselves to the Manosphere, to guys who we talk about specifically in majority, right? Majority.
We're dealing with, and even in this scenario.
So ultimately, if I was to flip a coin, I'd feel like he'd land more on the Manosphere side than our side. That's what I'm saying, right? And Ty, I know, maybe I'm wrong about that.
You're dealing with a man who has no priors, okay? A man with no history of.
Also, I don't know if he didn't have any priors or histories. I heard that he did. I heard that he did have some calls made on him. Maybe it was falsified, maybe not. I don't know. So I don't know. But let's fast forward because we've heard that.
And even if I'm not found guilty of doing that, even if I'm not found guilty of doing that, okay, the relationship between my child is going to be extremely strained. Do you understand? Even for them to go through and investigate that, I'm not saying whether he did it or didn't do it, but you got to understand that child is going to be asked questions about something that probably didn't even happen. You see what I'm saying? That child is going to be put in a position where they're going to have to be either coaxed into saying something about their father.
The problem is, and he's saying that the child could potentially be coached by the mother, tricked, saying something that the father did to them, touched them, hit them, yada, yada, yada. The problem is this. The problem is that if this happens, it's going to happen. Regardless of whether or not you kill the mother or don't kill the mother, maybe you can kill her before she says anything. What's the ultimate solution for you? Ultimately, you're going to go to jail. So you solving the solution of her lying on the child or making the child lie on you isn't able to be solved, right? And this is where, once again, the disconnect happens in the Manosphere. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There's not a solution to everything in life. There's not a solution to everything. I remember at a certain point I was being driven crazy by a situation. And I ended up getting to a certain state of thought. I'll just put it to you that way. And it became very clear to me. And I almost had this revolutionary train of thought and revelation. And then I said to myself, it was almost like somebody just said to me, it said, man, you can't solve everything. You can't change everything. You can't change everybody. This situation is no different. There is no solving everything. But moreover, the situation or the way to solve this, right, is almost impossible to grasp. There's no way to unless you just don't have a child, which 80% of guys aren't going to do. So I've avoided speaking on not having children. I've stopped talking about using contraceptives. I've stopped talking about not sleeping with that many women. I've stopped talking about just practicing a little bit safer sensual relationships. I've stopped talking about that because I realize that human nature at the end of the day is men are going to be men at the end of the day. Human nature is going to be human nature at the end of the day. And so both sides are going to always play into a certain amount of fault in that, even though that the solution would be complete prevention measures on the guy's part. That's not the solution that's going to be given here. That's not the solution that's going to be had. Now, obviously, the counter argument to that is, well, truth, you can't say that because if that was the case, nobody's going to have children because nobody would want to take the inherent risk. If there's a risk that you could have your child taken away from you and you're telling guys that the only way to solve it is to not have any children, that's a bit disingenuous. And I would say you would be a bit right to a certain extent. That would be disingenuous if that was not the Manosphere's logical reasoning. That would be disingenuous if the Manosphere didn't preach pump and dump, don't date single mothers, don't create families, don't do this, don't do that. You can't preach from a perspective of holding women accountable to marriage like Kevin Samuels, which is not what Ty City does. However, Ty City has a lot of people that watch Kevin Samuels, who love Kevin Samuels, who are very upset that he talks badly about Kevin Samuels, who obviously they won't watch Ty City for very long, but he does have an audience that can go to both sides. Once again, we have the side which tells women that, hey, you're nothing unless you get married, and that there are a lot of good guys out here, yada, 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 and so marriage is important. But Ty City's side is that marriage is not important, or marriage should be very, very severely cautioned, if not completely just evoked in 21st century society, because a lot of the manosphere doesn't believe in marriage. So the hypocrisy of the duality of both mindsets are fighting each other on a battlefield. The manosphere is divided, and that's why Ty City specifically talks about the Manosphere 2.0, or he speaks about the new manosphere, and he's joked about the Manosphere meetup where the guys all sat together and ate, Dunkin' Donuts and had a good time together and had fellowship and things of that nature, or whatever it might be, right? He's talked about that. He's joked about it a little bit, yada, yada, yada. And so he sees that the manosphere has a lot of issues and things like that as well. However, he still is in association with the Manosphere. Let's continue on to a little bit different of a part here. I talk a lot. Let's continue on for a little bit more and see what else he's saying.
And again, this is how I know this is not just some incident where a woman threatened to use this. No, it's not. No, it's not. I believe that it's common as hell. And it's a wild.
I don't know if it's common as hell. I believe it's uncommon. I don't think it's rare that perhaps that an instance of a mother is abusing the system. I think it's uncommon, if I have to guess. Leaning towards rare. I don't think it's rare, right? I think it's uncommon.
Wild card that women like to play. Okay. Somebody jumped on my panel and literally told that same story. Hey, my daughter's mother said that I was touching my daughter. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, that's some wild shit,
I want to say something. When I was in college, I knew a girl. I'm at the 25-minute mark. It doesn't really matter. I knew a girl, and I should have been, already, to be completely honest with you, and I'm going to get fried for this, but I'll just say this. She's an amazing girl. Absolutely amazing, right? At just so sweet, beyond sweet, too nice. I used to tell her, you're too nice to people. Stop being so damn sweet, because people are going to screw you over. You're too nice in this world, all right? I tried to get her to be mean, but she was too sweet, right? And she'd be like, oh, okay. And she'd just like chuckle and be like, I'm sorry. I'm like, stop saying sorry. I wasn't mean with her, obviously. I just tried to be defensive of her because she was so sweet. Anyways, I said that to say, if I was to have a child with her, if we had a child right now, there would be no universe. I would bet my soul. I don't say this lightly. I say this with everything. I would bet everything that I love and hold near and dear in my life. Every person that I've ever met, everybody that I've ever met, this entire world, if it could be just completely evaporated by the snap of a Thanos finger, me losing this bet, I would be willing to bet that if I had a child with this girl, I would never have to deal with any of those circumstances. I know I wouldn't have to deal with it. 10,000%. There's not a single doubt in my mind. Now, guys are going to say, Truth, you don't know that. You don't know that, Truth. I'm pretty sure. All right. Let me just give you a little bit of a scenario, and I hate to put her business on Front Street, but I'm not naming any names or anything of that nature. Right. Right. Let's just give you an idea of what type of person that she was. She hadn't even kissed a guy in college. Okay. She was always at the Christian like union type thing in college. She was always doing this and always doing that. I would like mess with her. Right. I'd be like, Molly, let's go. I'd be like, oh, I just said her name. Fuck. I'd be like, hey, let's go to a party or something like that. And she'd be like, don't even, like, why would you even joke like that? Type thing. Like she was serious, extremely kind, but she was an awesome person, man. Right? No guy that has a child with Mon is ever going to have to worry about child support. Now, there's not a million Mons running around. There's not a billion, however many Mons for every guy out there. I get that. There's not women, there's not a billion wholesome women running around that if they end up even getting screwed, let's say I got with her. Shout out to you, Ty. Ty's in the building. Let's say I got with Mon, and I'm going to stop talking right now because Ty's in the building. Let's say I got with her. We had a child. Oh, my bad. Other people have been here. My bad, y'all. I don't know how long you've been waiting. Yo, I'm trash, y'all. Let's say I had a child with her. Yada, 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 right? I know for a fact. I do know, though, and I'm willing to accept and also say that, yes, there's not a lot of Monicas, okay? I just said your name again, Monica. I'm sorry. I get that. However, I know that for me, I've met that woman. I've met in my life, in my personal life, I've met 3 of those women that I know if I was to have a child with them, if I was to marry them, there would be no issues, okay? Here's the real reality of the situation, okay? They're not like the most, right? I mean, let's be real here, okay? And I know this looks crazy, right? Zoom, fuck Zoom, right? These aren't the girls that are going to go party. These aren't the girls that are going to go turn up. These aren't the girls that are going to do any of that, right? These aren't those types of girls, right? Everybody likes the Instagram model, right? Ty City's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to have Ty City in the building. Ty, you see what I got going on right now. Just know that I'm in the building, man. I'm going to try and blow you up right quick here. What is your assessment of the critique, man? First and foremost, thanks for being in the building. What is your assessment or critique of everything that you've heard so far? Ty, that laugh is funny, man. That laugh kills me, bro.
I ain't gonna front, man. It's just the critique was trash. You totally missed the whole thing. I don't even know how you was able to get that off.
Yeah. Well, let's start with one part. What's the biggest part would you say is wrong with the critique?
The biggest part that is wrong about the critique is that I never defended what he did. I was only explaining why somebody would do that.
Okay. That's
not me saying that he should have done it. I've never said that the whole live stream.
Right. So what you've been saying, from what I understand, is more so that you understand why a bit more, being a father yourself, right? You understand how it could happen.
No, what I'm saying is that when it comes to children, there is no limit to what somebody will do.
Right.
And that's like the main reason why I did the live stream, was to explain, because a lot of people talk about this, they don't have any kids.
Right. And yeah, and
so
I said
they don't understand. So it looks like somebody's just absolutely nuts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which I agree that this dude lost it.
Right.
And if you see, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's like talking to people who don't have kids is I used to always say that people was using that to get out of having the discussion. But if somebody is harming your child or threatening to take your child away from you, like, I wouldn't have handled it that way. But somebody else, I can't say what somebody else will do.
Yeah. So here's my thing. Maybe this is a situation, Ty, where, maybe the mother killed, like you specifically gave an example of a white mother, or that mothers kill their children, right? You said that later on in the live stream. And
based on the outcomes of the court system. That's why I said that was the context of that.
Right. And I played a case where y'all couldn't hear the volume because I'm trash, so my apologies, where a mother committed suicide and killed her son, and the lawyer said that he sees a very high amount of one parent or the other. He didn't say male or female.
Yes. That's usually how it happens.
Right.
It's the parent usually does it to themselves.
Right. So you made the example, and Kier, I see in the building, or you made the comparison that women do kill their children, and that this isn't necessarily a one-off type of thing, but that in saying that, I need to bring up a couple of points. And point number one is that I don't think it's an equal comparison, because one, the woman has the child. And so would you say that there's maybe more of an emotional attachment, not
what
bringing in?
Wait, run that back.
Right. So you said that, and so let me bring this. We're using two different things here, but in your live stream, you mentioned that women kill kill their children because of what the courts do to children, even though we're talking about an instance where a father killed the mother. We're not talking about a father killing a child here. We're talking about a father killing a mother. But
okay, so
go ahead.
This does go both ways.
Right.
Like a woman will do whatever to defend her child or whatever she feels is necessary for her child as well.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to kind of bridge the two, scenarios in death over a court case regarding a child in this case. And so, moreover, what I want to kind of make clear before I go to Koja Milk and then Kier, and give me 1 second, y'all. I know that y'all are here, so give me a couple minutes. What I want to make clear more than anything is that we need to be very careful and very honest in what we're saying here, right? In which that whilst there is instances where we can both apply situations, we have seen, and there is a rise, and I'm sure you've heard of black femicide. I'm sure you've seen the amount of black women that are being killed in relationships. I don't know if you even saw the video that I played in the very beginning of this live stream, right? There's a rise in domestic violence issues, and my problem with that is that the manosphere and the teachings in that lend themselves over to people who aren't emotionally sturdy like our gentleman here, which I don't know. Did you hear whether or not he's in the manosphere? I heard that he was.
I heard that he liked the comment or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So again, this is where I have to step in and defend my platform, because I've spoken on guys getting hobbies, guys doing things to help them mentally deal with stress. That is like a good piece of my content.
Yeah.
So so when you say that, I think that's disingenuous. He doesn't really want to prevent this from happening. It's like I actually laid out some solutions.
Okay.
In the live stream.
Yeah. So what was one of the solutions? Let me go ahead and just make sure that everybody's hearing us before I lose my mind over here. So give me 1 second, Ty. They should still actually be able to hear you, but let me look up something really quickly. I'm paranoid. All right. Okay, can y'all hear? Is everybody hearing? Okay, everybody's hearing. $5 super chat from Self Love Hill says, "I love my kids so much that I'll off myself so that I never see them again." Yeah, right. That's just, it's crazy. I know. Pamela with another dollar super chat in the building. Another dollar super chat from Pamela. $2 today. Thank you, Pamela. Okay, let's continue on. Everybody can hear. So your first solution then, Ty, in this case, or what would be something that you would say?
Well, the main one is to be proactive and not reactive. A lot of guys, they don't want to take action until the woman makes the move to the court system, or she decides to put the people in his life first. So that's the main piece.
Okay.
That's like the main solution and that I've been saying on my platform for a minute.
So how is this in this case or this situation to be, how are you able to be proactive in doing this? Would that just mean going to the manosphere, or would you say that, going to the manosphere is a proactive way, or would you find solutions if you were to type in, I'm going through divorce and I'm losing custody? Would you say that for the most part you would find a solution in most of the videos of the realm that you associate with?
Again, in this very live stream that you're critiquing, right. I literally said there are single father groups that will show you what you need to do to go through the court system properly. In this very live, so maybe if you skip around, you could get to that part, because these guys have a lot of information. That way, so you're not alone while the woman is running through the system.
Absolutely. Well, I think
these are solutions that I never said go to the manosphere.
Right. I
went through the process myself. I also said you should be taking precautions even if the relationship is good.
Right. So I appreciate you mentioning that, and I think that's good. So I think that's a pretty decent solution as well. So making sure that you get with a group of guys that got a good head on their shoulders, know what's going on, that can help you through the situation. I think that's great. 1,000%. I can fully stand behind that. 10,000,000%.
Well, that's why I need you to critique that part of it.
Yeah.
I don't want you going out here saying that I co-sign this dude, killing these women, dog. Shit crazy.
Yeah. No, I think I've been pretty fair in giving you an honest critique and assessment, and pretty respectful of you, Ty. I've given you a lot of props, man. And the last thing I want to do is cause any drama, because obviously I've had plenty of drama. So I'm pretty I'm pretty aware going forward of what I say about people, especially when I tag you in it. I know you're going to see it. So I've been pretty fair. I'm just speaking the way I see things and the way that I feel like you kind of align with a lot of the Manosphere teachings, even though you don't align with the Manosphere all the way. Like I said earlier, I've seen that you roasted their meetup. I see that you roast the guys for worshiping Kevin Samuels.
Whoa.
I've seen that you. Hold on. I've seen that you roasted. I've seen you roasted the guys that follow Kevin Samuels all the time, and you roast Kevin.
Well,
so I know that you're
on
logical. You know.
The meetup is me just saying that there is a generational gap going on, and I understand why I can't relate to a lot of them. That wasn't me insulting them or roasting them, and it's just me just telling the truth. You know?
Yeah, and that's the same thing I'm doing, man. I'm just telling the truth how I see it. We know whether or not you agree or disagree, but for the most part, Ty, what I said in the very beginning is that I think that you're a pretty sensible, logical person for the most part. And I even said, I don't know if you heard me saying it, but I said if we were to have a conversation, I think that there are some things we'd agree on, because I do think that you're pretty logical. I do think that you're sensible, and I hear and I listen to you. And you saw me in your live stream a couple of nights ago. I commented.
Yeah, they don't like that. I got a lot of heat for that, man.
And I said the same thing. I said that a few minutes. I said the Manosphere has gotten on to him for saying some of the things he said. Absolutely. But once again, Ty, the more disturbing, and why I'm talking about this, and I'll let Kier go ahead, and after Kier, Koja Milk. So Kier, go ahead, you can unmute yourself, and I'll let you say whatever you'd like to say right now. The bigger issue that I have still is even somebody that I see is sensible like you takes the angle from maybe just not that right. You didn't attack it or really make most of your live stream about prevention or proactivity. Most of it was about, hey, the name of the video, fatherhood is nothing to be messed with, which is almost a warning or an implication of hey, don't mess with the wrong guy because you never know. And that's something you said in the live stream. That was the theme of the message for the live stream. For the most part, that's the majority of it. Even though you had many bits tied throughout, the energy from what I got is that don't F with everybody. Would you agree or not?
I would definitely disagree with that, man.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
The whole live stream was about even putting guys onto different stress relievers, like getting hobbies and stuff like that. Like it was a lot going on. Like I get it for the views, bro. Like I get it,
bro. I don't do a lot of views, man. All right, I'm not into the views thing, man. Yada yada. You know,
listen,
I've done well, but listen, views.
We both do YouTube,
listen,
man. I'm not mad at it, man.
Hey, man, listen, I get it. You know, I get it. Whatever it might be, it's not for the views. This is just how I feel, man. You know, so if you do it for the views, you do it for the views. But I don't do it for the views, Ty. All right, Kier, did you have a question to ask?
Wait, can I read something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody says Todd needs to be proactive in helping these males handle not being in control of women. I'm like the main person that says, handle your business. Don't worry about what these women are doing. Don't be trying to control. I'm the person who says there is no such thing as holding women accountable. That's me. I don't know that this is wild.
What does that mean? What does that mean? There's no such thing as holding women accountable.
There is no such thing as holding women accountable. How would you hold a woman accountable?
Well, I'm not sure. I just want to hear the concept of what
you're not sure because you can't. That's why you're not sure.
Well, I think I have a good idea, but I want to hear what your concept of that is. I think it's fascinating, and I might support it, to be honest with you.
Well, and that's me telling guys don't even like try. There's like nothing you can do about this.
So are you saying that women are just? I mean, they're
like
just wild, almost type thing, or they have a nature about them?
Like no, shame, blame, and explain, which is what a lot of the Manosphere content is. Shame, blame, and explain does not work.
Right.
Women do not care. It's hashtag they know and they don't care. Once you realize that, you'll live a better life.
Well, I think they care. They just don't care from guys that offer them nothing in return in comparison for the most part. Like if somebody
don't even care. They don't even care about the guys who actually provide and do well for them. They don't care either, bro.
Yeah, maybe they don't.
No, it's not a maybe.
Maybe they don't. I could tell you this. I could tell you this, bro. I could tell you this. Yeah. All right. And this is something that a lot of the Manosphere talks about, right? Which is that, you know, being this alpha and, you know, being a, you know, top domineering guy, and every guy.
You gotta tuck that ego.
Every guy in the Manosphere right now is an alpha right now, right? All these guys are alphas. They're all alphas, right? So according to them, all the women are tripping. What I'm trying to say is this. I think the term and the word accountability is really not understood. Where people are just saying, oh, you can't hold the woman accountable, you can't do this, you can't do that. To a certain extent, holding somebody accountability does itself. It fulfills itself. If you practice stupidity, more than likely you're going to reap a stupid reward, or you're going to reap a reward. If you're driving 150 miles on the highway in a car that shouldn't be going 150, then more than likely something's going to happen. Now, you can tell somebody all day and long, my mom can tell me all night, 24/7, that something might happen. However, regardless of whether or not I choose to listen to or accept it, it's not my mother that's holding me accountable necessarily. It's not anything that whatever it might be. It's life that will hold you accountable. And so people feel the need to roam as gods to hold women accountable. And that's the biggest issue I have. Listen, I understand what you're trying to say, and I understand I'm going to play devil's advocate. My channel is going to be a little upset with me saying this. You're trying to say that, listen, women have options, women have choices, relationships are different now, the court system's levied against men. Guess what? All that's true.
Somebody all day long. My mom can tell me all night.
Right. Okay, Betty Gal, thank you. So that's true. I agree with you. I understand that this happens 10,000%. However, even though this does happen, the lengths that which we're starting to push these types of issues to, the lengths to which people are starting to give back certain energies to, the discussions and the conversations that I see happening online in certain groups, it's not going to be the solution to those that are truly afflicted with that happening, right? The message of warning women, hey, y'all need to be careful. All these different messages. Now, your solution, finding a group of guys, I think that's a great solution. However, that's not majority of the manosphere, unfortunately. And so that's why I'm talking about it.
I don't control the rest of the manosphere either.
Yeah.
Somebody said that I'm conflating controlling and holding women accountable. I'm not doing, I say you can't do either. You can't control women or you can't hold them accountable. What are we saying?
Right. Kier,
I'm not conflating the two. I feel the same about both of them.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and let the panel speak a little bit, y'all. So, Kier, did you have a question for Ty City?
Nope.
Let's see. Okay.
The rest of the girls, the women on the panel, they can go ahead and go.
Sure. Thank you, Kier. Batty Gal, I'm going to try and take you down, Ty, see if I can do this. All right. Batty Gal, did you have a question for Ty City? Can I rotate this?
No, I don't have a question for him.
All right. Thank you so much. Koja Milk, did you have a question for Ty City? Oops.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I sure can. Our video viewers can't see thanks to me, but we can hear you though. Go ahead.
Ty City, there's a lot of miseducation when it comes to the child support system. Now, if two people are making the same amount of money, there's the misconception that women actually don't contribute. If a woman happens to be the higher earner, she will end up carrying more of the financial load because they take both people's income into account. They add it together, whatever states determine, this is what we think it takes to care for X amount of children. And they basically take that person's income and divide, and they actually get percentages. I've asked a lot of men if they were able to do 50-50. One day, 1 week, the child was me 4 days, one day the child was with you 3 days, and then we flip. Such things as healthcare. I'll use my job. It's $320 per payday biweekly. Well, twice a month. The time we get 3 times payday, you don't pay the third one. And I say, how would they go about handling that? That, when the child is with you, you pay the expenses when they're with me, but we have to have health care for this child. And when you don't live below the poverty level, you have to pay it. For me, it's $640 per month. And a lot of men say, well, they shouldn't pay anything. And I've often advocated for parallel parenting. What is your thought on parallel parenting and also advocating for mandatory recording the family hearings? Because you can go back in front of a judge, and we know judges see hundreds of people per month, and they set your case to come back in 3 months. There's literally no record. People assume because there's a person sitting next to the judge that that's a court reporter. Most courts do not record family hearings, so you can't even go and prove what was testified to in the last hearing, which is part of the problem. I've advocated for police stations and sheriff's departments to be safe visitation exchange sites. It gives protection to both people. For men who say, hey, she lied on me, she threatened me. If you're in the sheriff department lobby or police department, there's a video camera. It can actually show if the person came or did not come. It is a safe space. Have you all advocated for things of that nature? And also, women can't just up and leave with a child in most states, and the degree of miles vary for each state. In Georgia, you can't move 30 miles from your last address without asking the court, and the courts are very resistant to letting any parent leave that will create a situation in which it takes away time sharing from the other parent, and it's especially hard to leave out of state. In my state, it's 50 miles. So there's a lot of misconceptions, and I hear a lot of men saying things that they actually haven't educated themselves in family law. And just as that man paid thousands of dollars for attorney fees, that woman did too, because there is no free fund for mothers in court. So when you see people going to court, both people are paying. Now, the only time one party won't pay is if the judge finds that somebody's maybe filing frivolous stuff, and then the judge can award attorney fees or award attorney fees to the wrongdoing party to pay for the other one. So had there been a lot of towards education of men, because there's a lot of fallacies out there.
No, I agree. And again, in that very same live stream that's being critiqued, I let it be known that guys don't even know that it's illegal for their children to be held without them, be held away from them. They don't even understand that. Now, when you say the man pays and the woman pays, right? Now,
Yeah.
who usually ends up with custody though? They both pay.
When any child born, first of all, any child born out of wedlock, the mother has sole custody.
Right. And wait, give me 1 second. And I advocate for men to stake their parental rights. They don't understand that it's two different things. Signing the birth certificate does not give you parental rights. I explained all of that.
But when they come up with amounts of money to pay.
Well, I just wanted to say that because you don't.
Ty, let her speak.
Every overnight. Okay, let's start with overnight.
Well, you don't have to be married to have parental rights.
Ty, let her speak for a second. I'll unmute you in a second.
Go to the court and establish parental rights. It doesn't have to be a situation.
You don't have to be married to do that.
And you don't. You can go and establish your parental rights. It doesn't have to be a situation where child support. But every child is not born into a marriage. And but within that, men can be proactive. They can go to court and do that. But in my state, it's over 96 nights. So the regular visitation starts out at every other weekend, a week at Christmas, half of the holidays, the basics, a month in the summertime. And they can get that. So for every night of that, they get a reduction off. But there are different situations for different children. I tell people, don't make an enemy before you have to. If you think the child ain't yours, don't go out there yelling, oh, bitch, this ain't my child. Why don't you say, you don't even have to even argue with somebody, because you could swab a child's cheek and put it in the mail for $200. Now, I don't even know. It takes 3 days for a paternity test to come back. And that was 8 years ago. You probably could get even faster. It's so many things that people being proactive.
I just wanted to say that in that very live stream that's being critiqued, I said the same thing. You don't even have to cause any drama to get a DNA test. You can swab the child's mouth, swab yours, and get it tested.
And I see a lot of men like this man right here. He had 2 kids already. He was a nurse. He could have got a vasectomy, at some point. If you're of a certain age and you've already had the family that you wanted, more men go and say, she trapped me, literally taking their penis and their fertility in their own hands and stopping it. And even vasectomies are reversible and things of that nature.
I totally agree. And that's why the motto of my channel is whatever happens after you trust a woman is your fault. You got to take full accountability for everything that happens.
Now, these people screwing and there ain't no trust on even into no situation, because sometimes they don't even know each other. But even without what they say, like 70% of Black kids are born out of wedlock, but it doesn't mean they were born out of a relationship. But you know how these relationships go bad. And for the situations in which the dad was a resentful dad, do you hold a woman accountable if she's hesitant about saying, letting the child go with somebody who has only spoken negative and resentment toward a child?
You mean as like
me and you met in the club and we had sex, and then I told you on frame, like, bitch, I don't want no child, and a whole lot of stuff gets said. A lot of mothers would be hesitant to let their, especially if there was a lot of stuff said and you ain't been in a child life for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, and now all of a sudden you want overnight, as opposed to building up a rapport with the child. Because if someone came to me and said, oh, you got to go stay in Ty's house for the whole weekend, and you don't know that person, as an adult, you would feel bad. But as a child and as a mother who say, hey, this has been my baby for 5 years, I don't know you. Can we start out with some spend a couple of hours, go to McDonald's and work our way up? Is that unreasonable for the people that had no relationship?
That's understandable. I can understand that. And on the other side of that is, because again, I'm a part of a group for single fathers. A lot of women, they give up the children around the teenage age once they start having problems, and they don't really care at that point. They just don't want the child anymore.
Let me say something really.
That's how a lot of guys are getting custody that way. A lot of the boys.
Let me say something really quickly.
Who had custody of his 2 daughters that were actually before their preteen in the 90s. So when I hear men saying all these fallacies, and I'm not going to discredit anybody's journey, but to me, the thing of I want custody generally happens as a knee-jerk response to child support hearings. And most people don't even understand. I agree with that. Let me explain this part. It's 2 types of courts. The Unified Family Court, that's what they call it in my state. By federal statutes, you have to have a child support enforcement agency per state. That's under federal law. And each state has their own, and then they do it by county. But that is actually different from family court. Those courts are the ones, and they really, unless they recently started, don't address timeshare. I think it's been a push in some places to make it start, but that is not the place to assert I want timeshare. It's actually handled in another court, which is the family court. Yeah, that's kind of for your people who pay, and there are different proceedings. So if you come into the child support enforcement agency call you, and this person didn't hire no private attorney, and they call you into that hearing, you say, I want custody. That's not the right forum to ask that. There has to be paperwork filed and other stuff. And a lot of people say, oh, the courts won't let me do this and that, when they actually haven't followed the proper procedure. And sometimes they aren't even in the right particular court, because up until recently in a lot of states, judges don't even hear cases. Well, I call it Unified Family Court. That's what my state calls, my county and state calls it. They don't even have judges. A lot of them just have magistrates.
Right. Now, my honest opinion about most of the family court system, because when I was doing everything I needed to do, I heard a few cases, and the part that was crazy to me is that it just seemed like a lot of that stuff could have been worked out in the parking lot. They didn't even have to come into court to see anybody. They could have worked that out as 2 adults.
You can't even find half of these people to serve them. So it's a little bit disingenuous to say, when somebody say, take me to court, get it from the white man, and you had to find 6 years of traffic. And it is a fallacy that men are getting put in jail. The state of Florida don't put nobody in jail. The only time you get enforcement on your case is if you're on public assistance. They don't even bother with the enforcement. And when people say, I don't have no driver's license, do you know how many times and how much money they have to be behind to even get a suspension of a license?
Right. So again, like what I was talking about was guys in court fighting, going through the motions. That's what I'm talking about. Like they are there.
Right now, child support, when they're talking about it, child support is only collected consistently in about 20% of cases. And another stat, and I haven't looked it up lately because I stopped on my advocacy work, so I haven't looked it up in the last few years. Fathers actually win custody in 70% of contested custody cases.
Yeah, that's what's happening now.
where these men are getting this, and the courts are varied, and there are thousands of mothers, and the numbers actually aren't getting kept, of mothers that don't actually have custody.
Right.
So when I hear all of these men saying this stuff, do you stop and say, hey, bro, you lying? Show me your
I've already had several child support streams on my channel.
All right. I just want to say I just upgraded the StreamYard, Joe. I'm sorry, the Zoom. So sorry, y'all, for those who are watching who don't see any video right now. Give me 1 second. I'm about to show you. You're just about to see the video again. Let me just go ahead and move on. I don't want to move on the conversation.
Let me add to what she just said.
Yeah, go ahead.
About guys getting custody. Yes, guys are getting custody, especially in Texas, because they are starting to plug in custody into the actual child support. And a lot of women are actually giving up custody because they don't think that it's worth it. So whenever they go in and say 50-50 custody, that it reduces the child support, and the women are just turning over the children to the men. That's what's going on here.
I'm not sure what mothers they were, but let's say you're a above poverty level guy. The only way that you will, because really child support is around 17% of somebody's income. Federal statutes prohibit, and this is even in like somebody with multiple cases, it prohibits them from taking, I think, over 50 to 55% of your net income. And the child support formula is actually skewed because let's say I have 2 sets of kids.
Mm-hmm.
I get no credit. Let me say, I get no credit for my percent. I say with my children's father, I was responsible for 70%. When they did the little thing, I was responsible for about 70%. So, but when I went to my second case, I get no credit for that 70%, even though that money is allocated and I literally have to provide it because I had to pay. At that time, I didn't have my daughter. Now what I have, I had to pay insurance and things. And but the insurance I would get part, but I would get no credit for that. Whereas a man that has a child support order would get a reduction off his net income for all prior existing child support obligations. And that really hasn't been adjusted in that case. So you can literally take a man and a woman with a second set of kids earning the same amount of money, etc. And she could be responsible for more simply because she had no child support obligation on paper to mail in, but even though she's financially responsible for it, and he will get a less rate if things were identical. And people haven't caught hold to that loophole in the law.
That's fascinating. Koja, I appreciate you sharing that. Lindlin wanted to say something.
I'm
gonna
go ahead and check off because my battery is about 14%, but I'll listen from the cloud.
Okay.
And my husband's snoring, so I can't take y'all in there.
Well, Koja, don't leave just yet. I want to let Ty respond back to you. Lin, as soon as Ty's done, go ahead, Lin. And then Koja, if you can, just a few more minutes because you're dropping.
Okay, I'll just grab my charger then.
Thank you, Koja. I appreciate you.
Okay.
Lin, whenever Ty's done, you go ahead. Go ahead, Ty.
Nah, she right. And again, the way I hold guys accountable is if they out here making a bunch of kids, what happens is there is a cap to how much child support can be taken from one person. So if, these women that have a kid with somebody who already got 3 or 4 kids already, and then they have to, the child support can only be so much. So yeah, she was right. She was right about that.
Lindlin, did you have a question for Ty? And thank you, Ty, for your time, man. I appreciate you being here, bro.
Well, that goes to whenever you hear women say, "Oh, the child support don't even be that much," and you'd be like, "Who you had a kid with?"
Yeah, I hear you. Lindlin, go ahead.
Yeah, precisely who you have the kids with is exactly right. But I just had a quick question, and then I'll hop off as well. Sure. Because I believe it was Koja, I don't know if I'm saying the name right, but she mentioned something about a statistic about how 70% of like Black children are born out of wedlock, like to begin with, right? So like
I don't know about that.
I haven't double checked that statistic either, but I would presume, and I would probably venture to say that it's somewhere around there from what I last heard. off of like real statistics that I've looked at before. But anyway, I don't know that much about your channel besides what Truth has shown us. And so I would like to know, with all of the advice that you give these men, do you advocate for marriage? Like, do you advocate for creating healthy, happy homes, for men improving themselves to be able to be the partner that they would need to be able to be that head of household and to create an actual home prior to having those kids to begin with? Because to me, us talking about like the child support system and, you know, the baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, at this point, it's a moot point. It's a moot point. The kids have already been had. They're in the system, going through it legally,
Right.
and each side has like their own, you know, struggles that they deal with, right? Whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. But the fact of the matter is, we're not improving when it comes to creating healthy, happy, stable homes to begin with. So where do you stand on that, as far as like what is your channel geared towards? When do you address that at all?
Can I
Yeah,
tell
I
you
do.
one
I
thing?
think
The
that's
divorce rate is 51%. The divorce rate is 51%. These actually, the worst custody cases are the ones where there was marriage. So even if they were married with a 51% divorce rate, at some point, I ain't gonna say all of these are couples with kids, it still may be an issue.
Well, yeah,
I would
that's
just
what.
like him to address my question. I waited a while, sorry.
No, and to add to what she said before I answer your question, that's the reason why I say even if you was married and you divorced your husband, you are a baby mama. It don't matter whether you was married or not. So the whole wedlock, out of wedlock, I agree. It don't even matter. Like the kids are.
Do you advocate for creating happy, healthy homes within the sanctity of a marriage to begin with? Do you advocate for that? Or
Yes, that's a personal decision. And what I say is have the information. Know what happens. Like understand what happens and take full accountability for whatever happens.
Ty, I haven't heard you advocate for marriage a single time on your channel, to be honest with you, Ty. I'm sure I missed
that's because
it.
you probably don't listen. Anybody who knows me says I'm personally,
I listen
I
a
would
lot.
never get married. I don't promote
I
it.
listen to you a lot,
but
bro.
it's a lot of married people, okay, that are subscribed to me, that do indulge in the content. All right. A lot of married men are in my subscriber base.
So is that a good thing, would you say then?
Yeah, it is, because they should. I don't want to hear nobody saying that they didn't know it was gonna happen whenever the divorce happened or whatnot.
Okay. Linlin, does that somewhat answer your question? So Ty, your answer is that you don't even though, so you support marriage
on an individual basis. If that's what you want to do, I'll say just have the information.
But your channel isn't necessarily right. Okay. So you give a little bit of both sides. You're kind of in the middle. You would say then you're balanced.
No.
So
I'm not balanced.
So what side do you lean towards, marriage or non-marriage on your channel?
Non-marriage for sure.
Okay, cool. That's what I.
Because
so now I understand that we cannot have an honest conversation here. Then, sorry, go ahead.
In a situation where both parties make the same money, there is no alimony.
I would love if he could speak. I'm sorry. I would just love to hear his point of view on this. Like I'm not interrupting for a reason. Right, I would just like to hear your point of view.
Again, there are plenty of guys who are willing to get married. Plenty of guys. And a lot of these guys, they don't have the information. They don't know what to do whenever a woman says, I'm not happy anymore. All right. That's why I say have the information. For me, I wouldn't do it because I understand that you have no leverage in a marriage like that.
In a marriage period, you have no leverage, essentially.
Yeah, you don't have no leverage.
So
if you hurt in the state and they both are going to end up against you.
Okay.
This is the disingenuousness of this. Number one, if both of you are around the same income, when a divorce happens and you go from making, let's say both of y'all made 60 and 60, because we ain't even talking about 300,000, because in the state of Florida, the median family income hovers around 52 to 55,000. So let's say y'all make 120. When that divorce happens, both of those household people's lives are going to change. She is not going to live in the same lifestyle and he, because now y'all have to maintain two separate households. But it's this fallacy that only his lifestyle is changing. They're both changing because they can't afford that same $300,000 house that they had. They are both going to have to downgrade. And when you slow down everything and you're talking about marriage and kids, the number one stresses are finance to divorce. And then you're talking about bringing kids to a young couple with financial problems. That is almost a setup for disaster, but it's not one person benefiting. There are short-term marriages, moderate-term marriages, and long-term marriages. And to get anything of lifetime alimony, it would have to be a person that literally doesn't work at all. And it would have to be over 17 years in my state. And it varies by state. But both people's lives change. Nobody is walking out. And if you got a house that you had for 2 or 3 years, you ain't really got nothing but a mortgage. If y'all have cars, one person, y'all getting car payment. But there's this fallacy, and people don't look at the
Can I say something? Can I say something?
I just want to know who makes that decision to do that? Who's going to do the divorce? Who causes that?
I think we are not getting to the root of the issue, honestly. And
why not?
Well, I think we're not getting to the root of it because what ends up happening right now is there's a back and forth between who's ultimately to blame, right? Because that's what everyone...
It's not who's to blame, is what is happening. I was just not blaming anybody.
So here's my question then. I guess another question for you. Why is it, or what do you think is the cause for Black men and Black women not being able to sustain relationships?
That ain't even a question for me. That ain't even a question for me.
Go ahead, Lyndon. If you had something else, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I asked because you say you don't advocate for marriage because there's no leverage. And so I wonder, where's that point of view coming from? And what do you mean by leverage?
Are you serious?
I am serious, yes. That's why I'm asking.
Hey, THT, bro, I gotta go, bro. I'm gonna get out of here, brother. I appreciate you having me up, fam.
Hey, no doubt. Let me just see if Kiera wanted to ask you one last question. She just sent me a chat. Kiera, did you want to ask? Last call, guys. If you want to ask Ty City a question, Lindland, I feel like she was trying to go somewhere. I understand, Ty. Listen, I appreciate your time, both sides. Kiera, go ahead for a question for him.
No, I didn't want to ask him a question.
Sure.
Reread that chat, man.
Kiera, I read it the first time. It was on the screen, so everybody read it actually. So every chat that you sent, everybody's read, Kiera. I saw it, sunglasses and all. I appreciate you though. Yes, she wanted to roll for sure. Ty, obviously, it's not easy being in the hot seat when you have people, kind of attacking you. And not to
I
mention,
ain't for the gaslighting, bro. I catch you later, though, man. I appreciate you having me up, dog.
Hey, I appreciate you, man.
I really wanted to know what leverage, because in a divorce, both people, nobody really goes into marriage, especially a first marriage, with the idea of getting a divorce. But if you're your average young couple, you've only been married less than 7 years, the most somebody could get, even if they got alimony, and it will only be for a year, maybe 2, because it's a short-term marriage. And you will have to be like a person not making any money. It's like if you make $50,000 and that person makes $40,000, it's $15,000 after taxes. They may give them a little something, but it won't be forever, and it will just be like transitional.
See, let's just
when you have cars, most people want the house, the 2 cars, the kids, and the dog. Those cars ain't paid for. So you take yours, I take mine. I got to make the payment. You got to make the payment on yours. We sell the house. The market crazy. It wasn't no equity anyway.
Koja, let's try and give Ty.
So when you bought, I
don't know if Koja can hear us.
Okay. Now what I want to say is it's like, I don't like getting into these discussions because most women don't even want to be married in the first place. A lot of these women would be married if that's what they wanted.
Uh-oh. So you don't think most women want to be married?
I end up discussing something that women don't even want. Like this
is there's the dishonesty, and that's why I say we can't have an honest conversation.
It's not being dishonest.
He's not
Are
even
you married?
It's extremely dishonest.
Well,
are you married?
Ty,
that's why we can't have an honest conversation.
Are you married?
Koja
Yes or no question.
Ty, Koja Milk is married. So what exactly?
She is. I'm talking about this woman right here.
So let me ask you a question. You're not married.
So
what
both
exactly?
of them are married.
But let me ask you a question. You're not married. So what exactly are you saying?
I don't want to be married.
Okay, that's
Okay,
cool.
so
You
now
don't.
it's
You
your-
don't.
now it's your
That's fine.
turn. Now-
But listen, you don't have. If you don't want to be
Now
married,
it's
that's
your
fine.
turn.
Listen, Ty,
Let's
Ty,
talk to
Ty,
all these
Ty,
women that are married. And
Ty.
why aren't they married?
Ty, listen. If you don't want to be married, that's fine. I'm gonna have to put you on blast. But you don't get the opportunity to use marriage against somebody when you yourself aren't married. You don't. But no. But you're muted right now. Nobody can hear you. You don't have the opportunity to use marriage. But you're not married. So don't go around parading marriage. You're not married, my nigga. All right. You got kids that you know what I'm saying. You're doing this. You're in the same boat, bro. I'm not judging you. But you don't get the chance to use marriage. That's not fair. That's not the way it works, bro. That's not the way it works. So let me unmute you real quick. Go ahead. Hold on. I still can't hear you. Hold on, bro.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so they talking about something they don't even want, but I'm being disingenuous. They was using marriage against me.
But one of the ladies on the
They was
panel.
using marriage against me,
Ty,
and then when I put
Ty.
them on the spot, they're not even married.
Ty.
Why aren't they married?
I'm married.
Koja Milk is
I know
Koja
you
Milk
are.
is married.
I know you
Married.
are. Okay, I know
I'm
you are.
twice married.
THT. Let's see how many of these women are married, and let's ask them why aren't they?
Ty, it's irrelevant because most of y'all aren't married anyways. But Ty, this is what I'm saying. I have to put you on mute because you're not going to understand the point. Let's just go ahead and take it from your logic of perspective. Let's just say that that women can't talk unless they're married on the subject of the situation because they can't understand you. Let's just say that they can't talk about it in this case. If that's the case, and I can't. Hold on. You're still muted. Just give me the 20 seconds. I'll mute you. You can talk, and then the ladies will ask you more questions. If that's the case, if you're using marriage as your ability to be the moral authority, you don't have that leg to stand on. You can't tell somebody and judge somebody for not being married just because you don't want to be married. If it's not important to you, then you can't use the unimportance to you as importance to somebody else. It doesn't work that way, bro. All right? So that's gaslighting. You say you're not a gaslighting nigga. That's kind of gaslighting, bro. If you don't care about marriage, then you can't judge somebody else because you don't care. But you do care. That's why you're judging somebody else based off of the value that you're putting on marriage. That's disingenuous.
Let me know when you finish, because that was cool, but that wasn't even what was going on. So
all right.
let me know when I can go.
Well, let me know how I missed you then, man.
Women want to be married so much. You have women.
I'm about to say, what woman do you think of doesn't dream of a marriage, bro? That's just crazy. That's crazy. Women, most women dream of marriage, bro. Most women dream of marriage, bro. Like, do you believe that or not?
Period.
No, they would be married.
All right, well then that's fine. There you go.
Let me talk.
He doesn't even advocate for marriage on his own channels, but then says women don't want to be married, and if they wanted to be married, they would be married.
No,
but then turns around and says,
But check it out. When the women tell you that they want to be married, then you're like, no, you don't want to be married. But the woman just told you that she wanted to be married. So if the women are telling you,
well, why aren't they then?
If the women are telling you. Here, Ty. Well, since you have
here
all the
comes the gaslighting from
a
man who doesn't believe in marriage and who says he does not advocate for men to be married, and then ask the woman why aren't they married?
Women want to be married so much.
Please go away like the scared little man that you are. He is a scared little man, and he cannot stand up to an actual debate, and that's why he ran off like the scared little beta male that he is. Period. You can't have an honest conversation with these kind of people. That's what it is. And when you try, it becomes extremely difficult. It becomes extremely, extremely difficult because when you start getting down to the nitty gritty, they run off like the scared little men that they are, scared little boys. They can't stand an actual honest conversation about it. And I wasn't rude at all when I was addressing him, but you see, he just ran off because he cannot actually sit here and have a conversation. Nobody was cursing him out like Kevin Samuels would do. Nobody was calling him names. Nobody was asking him about his personal business and whatnot. We were just trying to have a conversation, and he ran off scared.
Yep. Yeah, the respect and the dignity that was given was thrown back in our face, right? That was gaslighting for saying I appreciate his time, in which case, then yeah, I'll go ahead and turn the energy around. We can both play that way then, Ty, if you want to. We can both play a little bit dirty. I understand you're not a gaslighter, but you were gaslighting just now. That's what gaslighting is. And yeah, the facts are the facts. The truth is the truth. And yeah, you can't use a moral of authority to judge somebody that you yourself don't live by. It's not the way that the world works. You can think that women don't want to be married or want to be married. Either way, that doesn't give you the ability to shame somebody based off of a concept or ideal that the white man created that you don't believe in. If you don't believe in marriage, then why would you try and shame a woman for being married? If it's not important to you, then the main point you should be bringing up in the discussion is long-term relationships, maybe not marriage as much. But once again, guys are going to try and use, in this case, I found a lot of situations, one-off types of instances to try and justify their reasonings for why they view certain institutions, regulations, and accountabilities that life truly does hold you to in a negative light. It's a very interesting case study. And I just want to thank Koja Milk and Lin and, of course, Kier for being here as always and for really bringing in a completely different element, a new level of information and knowledge.
Can I say one thing?
Of course, Koja, go ahead.
I'm gonna say women. I've been pretty much a single parent most of mine.
Oh, it's Koja.
I mean, all my kids. Like I'm a
Koja
single
Malik.
parent. I'm a baby mama, and I'm an ex-wife, and I'm a wife. So women, if you're 40 years old, and those of you that desire to be mothers, and you getting where you got 1 or 2 eggs up, go buy you some designer sperm. You can always become a wife or not become a wife. You can't always become a mother. And I wouldn't let my lack of and most of the time you don't want to be hooked to these men anyway. You see, Haley Berry can't even leave the country with her children. So I would say, don't let nobody shame you. If you have the desire to become a mother, go buy you some designer sperm and become a mother, and don't be tied to none of these dusties like that.
Oh, thank you, Koja Malik. I've been saying Koja Milk. It's Koja Malik. I just saw that when it was blown up. Maybe I need to take the sunglasses off. Thank you, Koja Malik. Kiera, I know you don't want to say much. Lin, I know you just got done saying a lot.
Oh, I was going to.
Oh, go ahead, Kiera. Go ahead. After Kiera, then Lin, go ahead. Go ahead, Kiera.
Oh man, I done forgot my point.
Oh, you're fine.
I was listening to your soothing voice, and I was like, wait a minute, what was I about to say?
I like those
I need to
earrings.
start. Thank you. I need to start writing stuff down. Yeah, but they were right. We can't have an honest conversation. That's what I was gonna ask. Because I never really do get to ask. Like for you guys as like men and as males, like how do you feel when guys come on here and they say stuff like that and they can't hold the conversation? I've never really asked that. What you guys actually think as men about your gender when they act like this?
Well, I haven't looked at it from that perspective, but just kind of looking at it, I think the bigger thing, and something that we've talked about a lot is, a lot of the guys just getting on here, right? And well, I guess we have looked at it, so ignore everything I said the past 30 seconds. Yeah, we have looked at this a lot, and it doesn't lend itself over well to the conversation or to the argument or to their point. And I try and even sometimes be devil's advocate, right? I try and lend that, maybe it's gaslighting type of help to try and assist them sometimes because I do want the conversation to go on. And that's why I do speak the way I do and try and have things go the way they do so we can maximize the conversation, or at least to try and get as much information out as possible, because the conversations tend to take a lot of different routes and things of that nature. But we definitely try and come to the point of understanding. And that's why he said, hey, I misunderstood him a lot of times and this and that. So I want to make sure I understand him. And I want to do that for everybody on the show. And so I want to make sure, even if you aren't the best talker, you can come up here and whatever it might be. Ty's he's got long live streams. So maybe it's a bit, like I said, being in the hot seat, having, people kind of, say a lot of stuff. You're reading the chat. You're seeing people talk about you, how you look and all kinds of stuff. It's not, it's tough. So I understand that. Gaslighting or not, that's the truth. So, take it as a will, Ty. But yes, it is a bit difficult sometimes, and especially as I guess you could say the nature of our channel, which is essentially intelligent arguments or verbal judo. It is a bit hard to give somebody credit or to give a belief credit when they fumble. But I fumble a lot too, so y'all give me patience and things like that. Look, I just stuttered right there. But once again, I don't want to just completely cut somebody off because they can't form a. I don't want to. Of course, Ty can form a coherent thought, but you understand what I mean. So I try and at least get the essence of what they're saying understood. Therefore, we can attack or just go off what they're meaning to say, right? So, but we all know, And so, listen, we all have different skills and talents, and I want to be more understanding, definitely for sure, right? So let me just throw some coals on that fire, that gaslighting fire that I'm sure he's probably stewing in right now. Like, this nigga's still gaslighting me. And I'm not. I'm trying to be genuine. I'm trying to say, hey, listen, let's be more patient. I thought that was the good thing. But, of course, I'm trying to be more genuine and patient. I'm trying to argue the devil's advocate side. I'm trying to argue for Guy's side a little bit in this argument with Ty and be like, hey, and that's gaslighting, right? That's gaslighting. So, hey, what can you do? Fuck it. So that's what I think here in a roundabout answer. I think a lot of things. It is what it is, I guess. We'll try not to be too mean, but it is what it is. I think it speaks more than what I could say. Right.
Do you think we'll ever be able to have an honest conversation with your gender as a collective?
You said with your gender. I don't. We'll see. Time will tell. The more that we make these videos, the more people we hear from, the more stories we'll hear from. And, in 10, 15, 20, 25 years, that's what lifetimes are for. That's what lifetime achievement awards are for. And for lifetime work awards are for. Somebody finds something so important in life that they recognize that their life doesn't lend themselves over enough time to fulfill whatever that is in life, And so I see this as one of those things that could take up a lifetime for myself, a lifetime for my children, my children's children. This is a multi-generational process. So, no, not immediately. It's not an immediate generation change. It's going to be multi-generational. But it's good to be a part of things. Other races of men plan out hundreds of years in the future. Asian men are planning out. Asian men have a 500-year plan, I believe. Or at least I think they have a 100-year plan. China has a 500-year plan, right? In which case they're planning out their great-great-great-great-grandchildren and what they're going to be doing, right? So yeah. It's not a discouraging thing, just the reality of it. Shifting your train of thought, I think, is more important as far as a solution going forward. So, not now, but hopefully later. Expect the best. Expect the worst. Hope for the best. So, thank you, Kira. That was a good one. Go ahead, Kira.
Oh no, I was just gonna say for one last thing. We keep asking, as you do, keep asking. What are these women supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? And then we're even asking, what are we supposed to do? Just kind of like an oxymoron. And no one who keeps whining and crying and complaining about women can actually answer the question in full or can give us a real answer. So at this point, it would be smart for you to just do what's best for you and stop listening to other people, particularly people who don't know you, who don't know anything about you, and for damn sure don't know anything about your gender. Like, don't be fooled, because at the point, this is getting to the point to where it's getting to like, okay, if you're falling for this, it's your fault. Okay, we're not getting to the point where we're going to coddle you and say, oh, well, I'm sorry. Like, no, you're seeing this all over the place. Like, everybody's got cameras, everybody's got videos, everybody's recording. There's no way that you should be blind or oblivious to this now. If you're going to continue to engage with men, be aware of what's going on and how to save yourself and how to be safe. Unfortunately, at this point for us women, no one's going to come to save you but you. So now we just need to move accordingly, and we need to move in silence. Point blank, period. We got too many women out here dying because they're trusting the wrong people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Coach Malik.
I'm going to say, and I'm going to say this again, what I'm seeing taking place in these spaces is reminiscent of what happened in Germany, where a certain people were labeled as the haves. And because other people pitched them that way, they started to build this hate. And this man was really thought of, and HH was really thought of as a laughing stock. But because given the time and the place and what was happening in the world, he was able to amass a lot of power. And I feel like women are being targeted, like Black women are being targeted. We're getting things put on us that definitely aren't true. Most girls desire to grow up and be married and have a good marriage, not a bad marriage. And we're being labeled as something. And one of the tools of genocide is dehumanization. For example, calling Black women German shepherds, etc. The falsity that Black women are taking educational resources from Black men.
Wow.
It's very dangerous talk, and we should really look to the past and study the past.
Wow.
In order to see what's being created. And thank you for allowing me on your platform. I really appreciate it. Hey, Kiera, and keep up the work.
Coach, haunting last words.
Thank you. Yeah, have a great night.
You as well, Coach. Those were probably, in my opinion, the best words talked about all night right there. That's wisdom. You have intelligence and wisdom. I say that all the time, but that's huge. And for some of y'all who missed it, if you don't know, when Germany normalized making the encampments of certain group of people, and I had to be careful saying this on YouTube because YouTube does not play when it comes down to certain races of people. There's a lot of power behind this racial group, We all know who they are. And it is a horrible thing that happened to them. When that happened, Hitler was able to use propaganda and say the most egregious, wild things about Jewish people. He was able to call them and say certain things. And he had German people believe that Jewish people really were people with like devil horns and imps and things of that nature. And they really were evil and this all kinds of crazy stuff. He was able to get the Germans to believe that. And that's why you hear the horrific stories of everything you hear with what happened with the Holocaust. And it's just wild, mind-numbing stories. Not every German, obviously. There's plenty of Germans that were good, that did some good stuff behind closed doors. Some of them were even killed because they were caught. But that's how it happened. He was able to radicalize them through this, what would seem like nonsensical type of talk. But it worked. It worked. They say history repeats itself. Very interesting. Black femicide chose their name very interestingly, appropriately. Coach and Malik, that was a great point. Kier, you're well. We always save Kier for last. So, Lin, go ahead for your final words of the evening if you'd like to, Lin, or we can talk for as long as you'd like to. You're in no rush, so no rush.
Okay, yeah, I'll just say, I honestly had to like take a step back from like these kind of conversations too, because when I think about like the conversation that we just had with I forget his name, but Thai City, when it comes to these conversations, you kind of have to ask yourself, and even if you're like gonna come up on any panel, participate, it's kind of like, what is the goal? Like, is your goal to like have a conversation, or is your goal to just like be up here complaining and spewing out whatever based off of your own personal like life experience or some interactions you might have had in your life, and that's all that you're basing things off of? But is the goal an actual conversation? Because a conversation is a two-way street. If you're in your corner sulking and I'm in my corner sulking, there's no conversation that's going to be had. So like, I think like I think we're starting to kind of see a turning point with these discussions, and I hope that it like is going to happen more often. But like, you can't just like take up your ball and go home like he did, because then what are you accomplishing?
Right.
I simply asked him like where he was coming from as far as like him feeling like if you enter into a marriage, there's no leverage. I really did not understand what that meant. I don't understand where he was coming from. I don't leverage. Like, there's a lot of meaning in that. What do you mean by that? Like, where is this mindset coming from you? I told him, I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about that man. I've never visited his channel. Am I supposed to know what's in his mind when he says, oh, I have no leverage? How am I a mind reader? So I'm asking an honest question, and his response is, I'm not here for the gaslighting. So you know what that tells me? That tells me that you're coming up here already having preconceived notions about people that you know nothing about. And the honest conversation cannot happen when you're already having preconceived notions and have already formulated your opinions about everybody.
Exactly.
And that's what lets me know you're not in the space to actually have a discourse. You're not in the space to actually have a conversation, because you're coming in with a mental block with preconceived notions about people that you know nothing about. Just like I know nothing about him, he knows nothing about me. And so is the purpose to actually have a conversation, or is your purpose to be online with your bitterness and your from your own life or your own experiences and transferring that to other people because you need an outlet to vent? Because if that's the case, maybe you should go see a therapist, because they can listen and give you that ear that you need.
Absolutely.
But if you're here online and you're speaking to the masses and speaking to other people, what is your goal with this? Are you trying to actually have a conversation? Because if you're trying to have a conversation with different people, I mean, you can go to your echo chamber if you want to. You can go to the echo chamber of other people who think just like you and be in that, in that pit of like bitterness or whatever else you guys are congregating over, whatever emotions you all are congregated over, and it'll just be your own personal echo chamber. But if you're actually going to venture out to other communities and have a conversation, you need to understand that people are coming with different perspectives as well. Perspectives that are not the same as yours.
Right.
Very likely not the same as yours.
God forbid.
So are you trying to actually have God forbid, are you trying to actually have a dialogue? Because it appears to me that wasn't the case, because as soon as we actually started to have a conversation, he ran out of the room.
Right. And he left us a $2 super chat just now saying, and thank you for everybody super chatting. If I missed it, I'm sorry. I'm looking at him now. Organic Black said, what is accountability? She asked him. Ty said he super chat a response back. I didn't see it just yet, but he did say that he's not about to sit up here arguing with women. So I guess that
It wasn't about
conversation.
That's his perspective though, because it wasn't an argument to me. I simply asked him a question, and his mind immediately went to I'm being gaslit. But gaslit implies intention. It implies like I'm trying to make you feel crazy. I told him, I have no idea who you are. I don't know anything about you. And so when I ask you about like, what do you mean by X, Y, Z? What is that perspective? Because everyone has their own unique lived human experience. Right. Am I right or am I wrong?
Facts.
Everyone listening, you have a different lived experience. I have a different lived experience, and everyone has a different perspective on this life based off of the things that they've experienced. And so I was trying to have that conversation, and he ran out of the room. Why? Because he had a preconceived notion about me already, just based on the fact that I'm a woman and I'm asking him a question. And so no honest conversation can actually be had when you come in with that kind of mentality. And so if he is still listening, I would implore him to like not come in with these preconceived notions. Like, what is the goal of the conversation? Are you like, what is your goal here?
And he claimed he was proactive, trying to have solutions. That's what he said when he first got here. He's like, I want to have solutions. So I was like, okay, cool. So I try and have the conversation where we can, be respectful, or make the conversation happen between both sides in a respectful manner, which all the ladies were respectful. Koja Malik came on here and just was respectful. She everything she said was respectful. You were respectful. Kiera's respectful. I mean, if you would have taken this conversation and had it on the Manosphere channel, what? These niggas would be talking crazy, man. Crazy. It was very respectful. But once again, Linlin, you bring up a really good point. The fact that you opened your mouth was enough, I think. All right.
And that's what it was. It's the fact that I even like had the nerve to ask a question, to try to get an understanding, to try to gain that understanding. It was like he thinks that it's an argument. And I find that to be very, very odd, because there was no argument that was being had. It was a conversation. And in conversation, you might disagree on something, and it's okay. Maturity. But when you run out of the room, because I think, maybe you have some preconceived notions about like, they're probably trying to go here with it, or you're like trying to like be one step ahead, or you think that like someone's coming from a certain perspective because you already have judged them before you even understand who they are or where they're coming from.
And
that's not maturity.
And let's take a look at why he stepped out. I mean, the idea behind why he stepped out was because
another conversation can be had, but like honestly, we're not going to get anywhere if you keep picking up your ball and going home.
Right, absolutely. And let's look at another reason. Let's look at the reason why he left. He said that I was being disingenuous about the fact that women don't want to get married, and that just wasn't true. In which case, it seemed like in his mind that was like the final straw. He was like, "What? Like, I can't believe y'all are honestly being honest about this right now." He was genuinely serious, right? He was genuine about us being completely gaslit, lying, scummy, pandering fools for saying that all women want to be married, or that a lot of women want to be married, or that a lot of women look towards or look forward to marriage. I mean, that's mind-numbing to me that kind of concept is like unfathomable from him. I mean, yeah, sure, society has changed a lot. Sure, dating has changed quite a bit, but I mean, for the most part, a lot of women, most women, I would venture, I thought it was common knowledge that a lot of ladies want to get married. If not majority, maybe it's not the overwhelming, maybe it's not 98% of women want to get married anymore. Maybe it's not even 90%. Maybe it's not even 80%. But I'm still willing to bet that there's above 60 to 65% of women that can see themselves marrying that Mr. Right, that perfect guy. I mean, that's just what I think. But moreover, let's just say that I'm a guy and I don't know, because I am a guy. I don't know. I'm not a woman. If women sit here and tell me they want to be married, I have to take that at face value. But once again, what we see is, irrespective of brutal facts and honesty, irrespective of conversation in a genuine manner, in an intelligent manner, in a very curious manner, right? In a very non-hostile environment, it's the same result, which is that there's no productivity. No matter how we approach the situation, it seems that, like Linlin says, the more disturbing fact and why I'm talking about Ty City is because I felt like if there was anybody we could have a conversation with, in the Manosphere realm-ish, it would be Ty City. So that's why I chose Ty City in this case. I've been watching him for a couple of months now. Ever since he tagged me. He tagged me in a video a long time ago. And it was a joking video saying I'm a panderer and don't cancel the honest truth because I want to see a black man, get in there and, and run circles in this whole thing and really, make money in the whole black women's sphere. And I'm happy to do it because Jessica X came in the black manosphere and made a lot of money. And so they were kind of joking in that light and in that sense. And so I didn't say anything about it. I was just like, it's whatever. I mean, it's natural, So, and for the most part, he wasn't that disrespectful towards me. So that's why I didn't say anything either about it because I was like, well, hey, he didn't dox me or call it my family or anything like that, right? I mean, he didn't do anything like that. So, hey, come for me, joke. Let's make jokes, laugh about me, think I'm being disingenuous. That's fine. I completely understand. And so that's why I took the step I did towards being a little respectful towards him, even though I don't agree with him. Even though I'd like to have a conversation to where he could maybe start using his platform to take it a step further in cracking the jokes on Kevin Samuels and saying, and let's also talk about guys that need to work on this and just have those conversations a bit more. That was my idea, and that's why I tagged him. But once again, I understand how it could be seen as gaslighting. That wasn't my intent, Ty. I'm not trying to gaslight you. I know that I tagged you in the video, and so that could be interpreted as gaslighting. Well, you tagged him in the video, and you're roasting him, right? So I can see how that be gaslighting. But even that, I'm not trying to gaslight you. I just want to assess this from a perspective of me seeing a black man who I see talk about wanting to be a good father, who I see talking about solutions, and maybe I missed some of the solutions you had in your live stream. You came and named a good one, having that father group where you get in a group of fathers, and they help you, and they give you mental support and things like that. That's what the Manosphere should be, in my opinion, for everything, not just with dating, but with everything going on. Even if you just need a black man to talk to because you're in the hood, you're in Blackistan, and you're listening to gunshots every night, and you just want to hear a brother that's made it out of there. That's what the Manosphere should be. But once again, things have been changed and misconstrued, just like that accountability word. Going back to it, that's why I used Ty in this instance, because if there was anybody in the Manosphere, I think that Ty would be the one. And he sat down and he listened, and right, we went back and forth a little bit. Right? We went back and forth for about 10 minutes, right? There was exchange of conversation. I know it's tough to listen to people, talk for minutes on it, and I get that, but right, that's what conversation is, especially when you have when you have people that are bringing in well-spoken points, right? We need those points to be spoken on air because it makes the show better. Also, I know that the question that Kira brought also has some relevance to it as well. Yeah, it is part of the show, and it's good to hear people that can, clearly and concisely. Organic Black says the volume is low. Go ahead, Lin. Go ahead. You're fine. All right. Sorry if the volume's low. Go ahead, Lin.
Yeah, I'll also say this. Like, if you to your point, it's like when normally people in the Manosphere or whichever camp you say you're in, makes a point. Everyone else is supposed to take it as factual information, non-debatable, not up for discourse, not up for debate at all. But if you happen to say something coming from a perspective of someone who sees life differently, sees things differently, it's like, no, cannot be so. So if we're telling you many women want to get married, and that contradicts your already preconceived notions based off of your own, whatever life experience you're coming from, right? Now we're just going to run off, take our ball and go home because it doesn't align with my already formed preconceived notions. Does that make any sense? So you're not here for a conversation once again. And even if we were to follow the logic, right? If we were to take what you say at face value, which is, it's not the truth, but if we were to take, oh, women don't want to be married, it's men who propose. It's men who propose, do they not? So if you're not encouraging men to seek to formulate, to seek to build households that are happy, that are healthy, if we're not focused on trying to rebuild our relationships with one another within the context of healthy marriages, because I think everyone can agree that a man and a woman, the mother and the father in the same household, raising their kids together is the absolute best situation for any child to grow up in. If we're not encouraging that in the community, if we're not encouraging men to build themselves up to,
right,
one day go out there and propose to the girl, we're not encouraging that at all. How does it make sense to turn around and then go, but women don't want to get married, if we're also not encouraging men to even desire for that at all?
Right.
But in either case, it's not even true. In either case, it's not true. It's simply not true. many women out here want to be married.
That's
They're
huge.
simply not.
Yeah. Sorry, Linlin. That's huge. Y'all, the volume should be better now. The volume might be too loud, but the volume's louder. So, you're right, Linlin. You're right. Sorry, I was trying to adjust things. Yeah, Linlin, and to your point as well, of needing to, and Kira, I'll let you go right now. To your point, needing to take some time off. Yeah, I had to kind of take some time off too and reformulate and figure out, okay, so how can we get a solution, even amongst the guys who won't ever come to a solution, right? And for me, my solution and my reasoning for still wanting to do these and show and have these conversations is, there will be guys that we can rescue. Thank God. We've already rescued a few, not many, but a few, meaning like, I don't know, 2 or 3. So, but past that, the world needs to see once again what goes on in a lot of the communities, because the system that we live in is not run by the men that are in the systems or the communities that most of us are risen in or have been raised in. And so there needs to be exposure, and information needs to be shed and had in discussions and conversations like what Black Femicide is trying to do, because these type of conversations aren't being had. There's no discussion. There's no international news coverage on this. And so us having the ability to make a tube station based off of what you think is important in your life is crucial. And that's what I think is, very good about having these conversations, even if there's not an immediate solution that's apparent, even if it seems like we're just running on hamster wheels and things of that nature. I do think that there is some good that's going to happen, even if there's not an immediate, once again, solution for the guys we speak to. Kiera, go ahead, Kiera. I know I saw you unmute.
I'll hop down, by the way, and leave the floor to you, Kier.
Oh, sure.
Have a good night, both of you.
Thank you so much, Linlin. We'll see you soon, my dear.
See you, Linlin.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Did Kier, did you drop down too? I guess everybody did. Oh, Kier, you still here? Okay, cool. Okay, go ahead, Kier.
Oh, I didn't know we were dropping down. Are we doing final words? Are we having a conversation still?
No.
What are we doing?
No, we're having a conversation. We're talking. We're chilling.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, where'd Linlin go? I thought we was about to get into this. But I was like, oh, okay. I guess you got to go, which is cool.
Hey, I think she just said she wanted to go.
Okay. I was about to say, like, I took a nap and I forgot. I'm like, oh, it's 1 something in the morning. Like, ooh, that's because I took a nap. Oh, there's somebody else coming in. I think it's a guy. I'll let him go ahead and go.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Kier. Rue the Righteous.
Yeah, man, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm about to change my name. There's some shit I did a long time ago, man. I ain't never changed my name. Hold up. It was some straight up Rue. Just straight Rue, man. Hold up.
Straight Rue. Okay, good to see you in the building, man. Well, how much of the stream did you catch? Did you catch a couple minutes? You just now getting here?
Yeah, I've been looking at it for about a good 30. I've been around. I'm looking at it for about 30 minutes now. What's up, Witch? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How's everything been on your side of the world, bro?
Man, I'm straight, bro. Everything good with me.
Love it, man. Love to hear it. Well, where do you stand, man? I don't know if you've called in before. I haven't seen you on the show, but where do you stand on this entire gender war as far as this child support issue, as far as the issue we talk about in specific, man killing his ex-wife and his wife because he was put on child support? What is your experience? Do you have any issues or experiences with child support yourself?
I mean, no, I have a child with a woman, and at one point I was on child support, but like I'm not on it now. I mean, we worked out an agreement, but I don't agree with what the man did. All right, like I'm not gonna ever like co-sign it, but I understood that sometimes a person might reach a boiling point, a breaking point, to where now you just say F everything, right? And you just say, you know what, I'm just gonna get rid of everything, and I'm off myself. And that's what I'm seeing from him. I think a lot of people in relationships, or you in these situations where you have children, people sometimes might want to call your bluff, like you wouldn't do something. So a lot of folks get hurt every day, right? So I'm not excusing this man's behavior at all, because he's not the first man to ever get hurt. He won't be the last one, right? But my thing is, some people take it a little different than guys, probably like me and you. Like I can get my heart broken. A woman can walk out. I ain't gonna really want to kill her for that. Nah. And if it come down to me, her having children, I let her guard handle it, right? If she's wrong, then it'll be revealed that she's wrong on how she's trying me and how she's playing with me. But I never would want to take justice in my hands when it comes to stuff like that. Nah. Plus, I value my freedom a little too much. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate and join you on your side and understanding that, yeah, not everybody takes everything the same way. And I have a saying, right, which is that don't go around effing with everybody, because you might think that you're a tough F boy, but there's somebody out there that gives less Fs than you do. And you might run into them one day, right? And so you might learn a lesson. And so I
That's true.
understand that. I understand not messing with people. And that's where the logic sphere, that's where a lot of guys are trying to approach and come from this discussion and angle with the perspective of, which is that, you know, hey, she was saying this. There have been instances, right? We've talked about this and somewhat exhaust on this stream. But, you know, to your point, I understand that concept. The problem is that what we're starting to see is that there's an increase in domestic killings of black women through relationships, even though there's not an outright issue or problem like what we're seeing here per se. This is a very one-sided, one very, very intense issue, if you will, kind of. Now, I will say this. Now, I say that to say this. This is a very, I don't want to say rare instance, but most of the time, if you have a child with somebody, and I'm just going to go ahead and assume here, you know, if things do get a little with the courts and things of that nature, most of the time it's not going to come to the guy going to jail for something and her lying on him in that way. Most of the time it doesn't get that far. Does it happen? Yes, of course it happens. I get it. But the leg that's being stood on by a lot of guys is that we understand why this happens, and so it's a bit disingenuous because A, it doesn't happen that much, right? A, doesn't happen that much, but B, it fails to mention a very, 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 very important issue or element in this, which is that in order for something like this to happen, there has to be something very off kilter with the guy to begin with.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if something's off kilter with the guy to begin with, then it nullifies the fact that we can understand why he did this. There is no understanding of why he did this because the why of him doing this isn't predicated on the actions of the woman. The why of him doing this should be predicated on the actions of who he was internally. So
okay.
This is what I'm trying to say here. It might sound like mumbo jumbo. Where Ty City is coming from the situation from is that the women drove him. What you said to me is that, and listen, this happens. I get that this happens, that somebody can drive you to do something. But guess what? If I'm on the road and a nigga's got road rage and making me go crazy and he runs me off the road, am I dead yet?
Mm-mm.
I'm not dead
Not
yet. Not yet. Is my life potentially in danger?
Oh, most definitely.
It might be in danger. It might very well be in danger. Now, let's say something here. My life may or may not be in danger. It may or may not be. Traffic highway security cameras. Police are going to do investigations, and so is the DA or whatever it might be. They're going to do investigations to figure out whether or not my life was in immediate danger. I might perceive my life to be in danger.
Yeah.
It might legitimately be in danger, and the cops could see the camera that, oh, man, he ran into a ditch. He was right to pop off a shot. He was right. We can give him self-defense. Now, I could tell you everything that just happened, and how convincing did it sound like I had a legitimate case just now? It sounds pretty convincing, right?
Very convincing, yeah.
It sounds very convincing. Mm-hmm. I could say everything I just said right now, and in court, and this happens, you pull up the camera and the defendant, the bro's just sitting there in the chair like, bro, I was ready to believe you.
Yeah.
Now, does it take away the fact that innocent people have gone to jail? Of course it doesn't. There have been innocent people that have been locked up in jail.
That's true.
But there have been people that have been able to merge that line, who were able to recognize that, you know what? Hey, you know what? I understand that there might have been other mitigating circumstances in here, but we're just going to go ahead and assess and take this situation from one perspective or one angle because I can fit my perspective, my narrative, my persona into that perspective and angle, right? And so what people try and do is, this is the is ought. What something is how it ought to be. People have a big is ought issue in life, and this is the problem with a lot of guys, right? This is the problem with a lot of dudes. And so, if, for instance, in this case, a domestic violence situation, we can look at this, say, well, this is what should have happened, right? He was a good guy, and you know, if everything if everything is what he said it was, if everything's what he said he was, and he was just this great guy, yada yada yada, then what ought to be is that they shouldn't have left. They shouldn't have left, and that should have never happened to him, and we understand why he did it. But that's the is and ought to be. You see, but the reality of the situation is what is that we'll never know what was really going on behind the closed doors. We'll never know everything that was happening. We'll never know why they decided to leave. But we know also by the actions of what he took, that what it is that there was probably signs that there was something that shouldn't be what it was. There were probably signs of something that shouldn't have been what it turned out to be. You see, the problem is that the guys are going to look at the situation and what it is, which is a guy popping 2 women in the head, as something as what it ought to be, which is that it ought to be something that we talk about from a perspective that you need to understand, women, that there are some guys out there that can harm you. Guess what? Women know that, bro.
True.
Women know that. This is not right? And so I'm a bit perturbed because, once again, Ty City is the type of guy where I would think that we don't necessarily have to have the conversation end in the way it needs to be, right? But the is-ought is a very big issue because it lends over to the victim a negative leg to stand on in defense, and the victim's not here anymore. And so it's a very dangerous thing when we start to, as men, especially for a guy like yourself, start to say things like, hey, I understand why it might have been. No, there's a lot inside of that guy's mind that we don't understand. That's not a guy that you would want to be around your family, around your whatever it might be, around whatever it might be. Now, we're looking at the situation of him losing his children and saying, yeah, we understand because he lost his children. His children were important to him. We're looking at the fact that, oh, he didn't have a criminal record, this, and that, this, and that. Let me tell you something. Somebody that, regardless of whether or not they had a criminal record or not, that did something he did, would you trust that person to be around your family or to be working at a job around your family members? Most of us know. Would you? You may not have a problem.
Nah, not really. Nah.
Go ahead. I wouldn't. I'll let you speak right now. You've been patient,
right,
bro. I wouldn't, and the only reason why is even though he most likely would never do anything to harm anybody in society because he hasn't done anything, right? He has the propensity and he has the ability to do so if things get to that level. Now, we're speaking about children. That's in no comparison and connection to working with a coworker. But knowing what we know now, I have to look at it a little bit differently now. Go ahead, bro.
Now, what you're saying about the children, right? I agree, right? It's like the children, sometimes we need to focus more on the kids, but I look at adults, right? The men and women who have children, they pretty much focus on themselves, right? It's selfish, right? Yeah. They don't really care about the kid. And it's based on what you're saying about the man having mental illness. A lot of us do suffer from mental illness. A lot of it's undiagnosed, right? Like a lot of men definitely don't go to the doctor to get that diagnosed, right? A lot of women do. But the thing is, when you're dealing with relationships, after a while, they become very emotional, right? And when you feel like, let's say a woman's about to leave you, or this woman might feel like you're about to leave her, right? Well, sometimes you might want to gain power in some way. You might be desperate to gain power in whatever way, right? A lot of times I see women, they do use children as weapons against the father. The father may be a damn good father, but yet the fact that he's not with her, she probably have an issue with that to where, well, you know what, guy, if you're not going to be with me, well, you're not going to be with the kids then, right? Just leave us all. And a lot of guys are not going to go for that. A lot of men are not deadbeats. A lot of black men do not want to be viewed as a deadbeat. But yet, if you look at these situations with these baby mama, baby daddy type situation, right? It's like, it's always like somebody trying to take the kid away from somebody. Either a lot of guys trying to get full custody from the woman, and she's not going for that. And yeah, you got a lot of women pretty much just not letting the man see his children. He like, okay, well, what do I do? You know what I mean? So if you know you're dealing with a man, let's say this guy here, right? This guy who is Jay Black guy who did what he did, right? A lot of men are on the verge of doing stuff like that. And I'm not going to say them guys are weak for feeling that way. I just think a lot of guys just don't want to go through with it. But a lot of guys, and a lot of women too, I'm going to be fair. A lot of women are on the verge of killing some man that they done had children with, some man that they was involved with too, right? My thing is we shouldn't play with people in that kind of way as we get older. Now, if that was cute when you was young in your 20s, that's cool. But as you become 30 and 40 years old and you still playing with people's emotions like that, you using things that you shouldn't use as weapons against them. I mean, you can't really be surprised if you were to get killed one day. My thing is, I know the killing is very extreme. THT is very extreme, but that's very much a possibility when you're talking about emotions. When folks are really in a rage, they don't really give a damn about what's happening until after the fact, when they settle down. We talking about the heat of the moment, the crime of passion, all that kind of stuff, right? In the moment, you pissed off and you feel like somebody playing with you, they trying you, right? And you're like, well, damn, what do I do? You don't feel like it's no other option. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
With this guy here, obviously he felt like it was no other option but to kill those women and kill himself. And that's something I would never do. But yet you got a lot of people who feel that way. My thing is, okay, we understand women do have an upper hand in society when it comes to children, right? When it comes to the family court system. Okay, do women need to be a little more cognizant to the fact that the fact that men, if you want to say that it's a black femicide thing going on, right, to where a bunch of black men are killing black women, should that be something that a lot of women take into consideration when they decided they want to play with a man's emotions in that type of way? I'm just asking.
You don't know me. I said he's good. I'm like, he's good.
You say what? You say what? I can't hear
you. What'd you say, Kier?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was on. I was off mute.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
I was reading the chat. Sorry.
Thank you, Kier. All right.
Continue. Sorry, guys.
Oh, you fine.
You got to go ahead, THT. I was just wanting to say that.
No, you good, MP. I appreciate you. Yeah. So yeah, man, I understand completely. So once again, kind of going back to the entire understanding type thing, right? The entire understanding point. I know that's going to be the biggest wall that's going to be in place for a lot of guys to really understand why and how I'm approaching and meaning to approach that situation. And so let me try and kind of. I understand what you're saying, Rude. I really do, and I think a lot of guys do, and I think a lot of women do as well. And I know there are a lot of women who can attest to the fact that they might have been in that situation as well. So let me go ahead and approach it like this. As far as the women leaving the guy or taking the children or whatever it might be, this is how I could look at the situation. So you have two ways to look at this. Either the guy was a perfect guy, upstanding, and he cracked, right? Which is how we're going to just go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt, or how a lot of guys do. He did everything right. He made a lot of money. He wanted to be married. He wanted to have his children. He cracked. He snapped. The other side to it, right? Which is that women might have seen red flags. Women might have seen that, hey, this guy has some emotional issues. They might have tried to separate. Do you kind of understand where I'm going now?
I got you. Huh?
So let's just say that you try and separate. Well, if you call police, and I'm just giving you an example here, if you call police, when you tell them that somebody's out to get you, what police will ask is, what happened? Is he in your vicinity physically? Is he around you right now? Now, I'm giving a very grandiose, very impractical example to kind of I'm not trying to, say that this is right to give false charges on a man, to say that a man molested his children. This is not.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Right. This is never going to be okay for this. I'm just trying to give different examples, and I'm going to give a really extreme example. Obviously, they're going to be the truth. Okay, you're definitely pandering now. In which case, I might even give a 1% of the thought in entertaining this, that I might be pandering now. But I'm not, because this is reality. So let's just say that they have to separate by any means necessary. Well, when you call the police are going to say, what's going on? Okay, cool. You can come get a restraining order if they decide that this is crucial enough for you to get a restraining order. Sometimes they say, hey, we can't do anything. You can try and make it a civil matter if you want, but we can't do anything because your life's not an immediate threat or danger. So women have lied and said, hey, he's hitting me right now in the past because they feel like the guy was getting ready to hit them when he never touched them. But of course, from the outside looking in, if you were to realize, and if we could see a camera, he never hit her. So is he lying? You know what I mean, bro? This is deep, man. This is deep. This is not surface level. But guys, people don't understand. People don't think like this. See, people thinking surface level. Nah, there's a lot going on right now. So let's say, okay, I need police. You're a woman. You know that he's getting ready to hit you. You know that this nigga's crazy and that he just hasn't done it yet.
Hasn't done it yet, yeah.
Swell. Okay, cool. Officer, he hit me. Cool. They're going to come take him to jail. Now, he's telling the truth. She lied on me and said I hit her. I didn't hit her. What do you think he might do now if he actually might have the propensity to hit her? He might hit her.
So you pretty much what you're saying is that a lot of women do fabricate a lot of these stories, right? They do embellish it to where they want a response, a soon response, right? A quick response to where they'll say anything like a man molested his kids, or he hit me and all that kind of stuff, right? That's what you're saying?
I'm saying that there is embellishment and fabrication on both sides for reasons. There is it for the sole reason of being a completely malevolent act that's used as despicable acts to get back at that dude for not wanting to be with her. Yes, that happens. However, there have been incidents where a woman got out of an abusive relationship through lying. The cops did get involved, and they took homeboy out of the house. That's happened as well, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So where do we draw the line of lie? When does a lie become good? It's not white and black. This is a gray area. When does a lie become good?
I guess a lie become good when it's all about survival, right? If you surviving, I guess your lie could become good. But if you just lying for the sake of lying, no, that's never good. No, sure. I don't agree with that.
Sure. I understand.
Yeah.
I think it's good to kind of go forward, and I appreciate you, Rude, for understanding that. This is the conversation that we need to have with a lot of guys who sentiment with this guy here, because I understand why you say you understand, but moreover, I want to know that you understand why I understand things the way I understand the situation as well, and that's what's important, ladies and gentlemen. So we don't have to leave necessarily on the same note, but the fact that we can have a dialogue is what's important. That's what people need to do. That's what guys need to do specifically, especially if you're a content creator that leads 3,220 followers like Ty City in the LOGICSPHERE, ladies and gentlemen.
I did want to speak on that marriage, but if you're about to close out, I'll come back some other time, man.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, man.
Okay, yeah. Just based on me coming up, I want to talk about the whole marriage and, women being married and stuff like that right now. Now, I'm not going to be dishonest, right? Since you know the truth, I'm not going to be dishonest and say that women do not want to actually be married, that they don't actually want to have a wedding and have a special day. I'm looking at the day's time compared to, let's say, go back to when your grandmother was married, right? When she was young and when she was married.
Right.
And I'm looking at the freedom that a lot of women have today, that a lot of women didn't have, segregation around the time. I'm talking about black women, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm seeing that women can actually make the same kind of money as men.
Mm-hmm.
They can pretty much live the same type of lifestyle as a man, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, what do they need a man for? And that was always my talking point when I first came into the space a long time ago, right? Was that black women don't really need black men like that. So I don't want black men to feel like you're going to now shame a black woman into being with you, like winter is coming and stuff like that. Nah, man, she never really needs you. Today, our generation, millennials, people born in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, bro. Nah, the black women don't really need you like that. They might want to be with you. But my thing is, a lot of women, for what I see, who say that they still want to be married, even today, it could be some type of control there. Because if you're dealing with a man, for instance, right, who actually can provide for you, you pretty much, I'm not going to call you a servant, but yet you pretty much will be just a help. It won't be 50-50. A lot of guys with money, a lot of guys who really got means do not really want to hear what a lot of women have to say in a marriage in the day's time. All right. Now, maybe a long time ago, I mean, even back then, yes, it was a little more of the man doing the work. He did provide. He took care of the household. And maybe the woman had a little say so. I don't know. I wasn't born in them times. I wasn't living in those times. But I'm looking at now is that when you hear women saying, yeah, I want to be married. I want to be married. And I'm like, okay, well, that could be true. But why do you want to be married now? Why do you want to be married? What's the reason? Is it for the sake of you just having a man as an accessory, just so you can show off and say, hey, girl, I got a man now? You don't want to be lonely like a lot of women in families. Like, for instance, right, in my family, a lot of women in my family are single, right? Only a few women who've ever been married and whoever got, pretty much took on the man's last name, right? Everybody else been single. And maybe that could be a bad look to where women don't want to be out here unclaimed that type of way. But if you want to make it seem like a woman want to get in line or she want to follow the leadership of a man, as I call cap when it comes to that. I don't believe that black women of today really want to be up under the leadership of a black man. You hear it every day on YouTube about the whole dusty this, the black man, you weak, you conquer, you dominated. So why would any woman want to be up under a man who's dominated by some other man? Like what's the sex appeal about that? What turns you on about a man that you can clearly see that's dominated by some other man, right? According to what women are saying on YouTube. So are you saying, or black women saying that you want to, I guess you want to step on this man too? Because you seen somebody else in your mind, right? Somebody else stepping on the same man. Because there's nowhere in life, the women I know, right? The women I was raised up with would ever want to be with a weak ass type of guy at all. Right. Every woman I know love men who have strength, right? Who have a voice, right? Who have some type of firm, some type of, toughness about them, right? Not somebody who just laying down like that and being trampled on by some other group of men, right?
Right.
So that's why I wanted to speak on that part about the marriage thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that, kind of going back to speaking about the women in your family not being married and whether or not they really want to be married, I think you bring up a lot of interesting points. A lot of guys do reference marriage as this 1940s and 50s submissive, slave type of position almost. And let's be honest, that's almost what they want, right? Cook, clean, do the dishes, Uber type thing. And I understand that a lot of guys don't expect the woman to cook every single day, and they're not going to have an argument with her because she didn't want to cook that day. I understand that a lot of guys are not completely off the walls, but for the most part, they tend to look at women as a possession overall more than an actual companion through life, and that is through the eyes of almost, like I said, slavery, right? And Kevin Samuels, a lot of these guys even talk about and go as far as to, what's your dress size, what's your height, this and that, just like a slave auction, like we're arriving to these Southern Americans, as most of us arrive to, or Americas, flesh off the slave ship. Now, let me go back to this question or this thing that I had as far as the marriage in your family. Are most of the guys, or I don't know if you have that many guys in your family, but are most of the guys married and most of the women just aren't? Or what's the marriage looking like for the guys?
Man, black men, I don't think black men really trying to get married like that. I think.
Well, you see what I mean, bro?
see, let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean real fast, right? Look, I always ask this question to women, all right? Just based on this marriage thing, okay? If it was flipped, if it was the opposite, to where women took more of the losses at the hands of the divorce, right? To men, would women still encourage marriage at that point? If women, like what happened with Mary J. Blige, right? If you have to pay your man or your ex-husband, right, alimony, spousal support, right, and child support, and you could be losing a lot of what you've earned throughout your career, throughout your professional career, right? If that happened 85% of the time, right, would women be pushing marriage the way they are so-called pushing it now? And my thing is, for the fact that I know that a lot of women would never agree to pay a man alimony, child support, and losing half of what she's earned, right? If she see a whole bunch of other women going along and doing the same thing, that shows me right there that you're not being genuine. That pretty much you're trying to take advantage of a situation.
Rude.
We understand that women.
Why would you?
Go ahead.
Why would you compare it to Mary J. Blige? Why would you compare?
No, because she's paying alimony to ex-husband.
Well, yeah. Okay, I didn't know that. But my bigger thing is, I was looking at her status. Like Mary J. Blige she's a celebrity millionaire, man. You know what I mean? So we're comparing apples to dragon fruit, and I'm speaking on just the fact that the alimony, right? Like if more women was paying alimony to the ex-husband, would women be pushing marriage? I don't think so. I just gave Mary J. Blige because she's famous and everybody knows her, so her story. Okay, fair enough, man. Yeah, okay, I appreciate that, bro. Well, I think the thing is this, right? And now, obviously, Mary J. Blige, I was looking at it from the level of she's paying a lot because she's a millionaire. So you're not talking about the amount that you're paying, but it's just the concept as a whole. Is if you make more money. The concept
of you having to pay a man. You see what I'm saying? You having to pay a man after you get divorced. Yeah.
Well, I think that's good because one, it shows fairness and balance, right? So I mean, it's a good thing essentially, right? Now, your question, obviously, to not be disingenuous, or gaslight your question, would, if more women made more money than men, which, I mean, now we're talking about completely just tipping the scales of traditionality, which we're talking about, not taking into account everything that's happened as far as traditional relationships in the past, men being the provider and protectors and women. Yeah. But from just looking at it from an alternate reality universe, yes, if women had to pay men more, if that was the case, or if they had to pay men for divorcing or whatever it might be, yes, of course, there would most likely be less women who are more inclined towards marriage as a natural reaction to it. True, I 1,000% agree. 1,000% agree. Right. But once again,
I'm trying to see what's the issue. Not with you. We're talking about just with women, period. When you hear men saying that, you know what, marriage is a bad deal for men because we lose more, right? All right, then, so what's the issue?
The issue is this, Rude, and I'll tell you. Right. Here's the issue. What side are you falling on? Do you fall on the side of the fact that marriage, that women in the family in your family need to be married, or do you fall to the side of the fact that marriage isn't a good thing for anybody? I mean, I know you're saying guys, so I'm not making my argument correctly here, but what I'm saying is this, is that you're speaking about the importance of marriage, marriage being important, but then you're also speaking about just how deadly marriage can be, right? Yeah. Now, you're speaking about the deadly woes of marriage through having a bad woman marry you, I assume in this instance, or through whatever it might be, right? But in this case, or in this situation, the Manosphere doesn't talk about marrying a bad woman. The Manosphere talks about marriage being a bad institution. So you could get a good woman, right? Yeah. But if something bad happens, and I don't know, maybe she leaves you, or I don't know, something happens, or I don't know, she just does something, I don't know, the system just comes into play, and she doesn't want you to go to jail, but you end up going to jail because obviously the system's out to get you. That's my bigger thing of concern here, is that we start to fail to understand and recognize and realize that there are people out here that are living and having good marriages. Now, I think the other big question is I'm not going to even say that right now. My other big question is this, or my other big point is this. I'm not even saying that marriage is the end all be all. I'm not saying everybody needs to be married. I'm not saying that either. I completely understand that marriage is not a feasible option for a good amount of people because they just don't have it. It's just not going to be possible with their personality. What I don't agree with, however, is using marriage as a weapon to weaponize against people in the same breath of explaining and understanding why those same people aren't married to begin with. For instance, your sisters. You said my sisters aren't married, but then you said black men aren't trying to get married. Well, that's a bit of a catch-22. You can't get a job if you have no job experience, but the job wants you to have job experience. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm graduating college. I need a fucking job. You know what I mean? So I'm not cursing at you to curse at you. Thank you.
No, I got you.
And so that's the issue that I have with that concept there. So yeah, once again, from a perfect perspective, looking on the outside in, I know guys are like, man, Jonathan always just wiggling right out, just pandering his way out. That's just how I see. I try and just give the most honest critique of the situation. And once again, from the outside looking in, if we just take you for your words, yes. If we take that story for what it is, yes, absolutely. But we can't allow a certain train or narrative to be used to shame people if we also know that the same narrative that's shaming people, the people using that can agree that the people that are being shamed have a reason to be going through what they're going through. They have a reason to be single right now, which is what you said, black men not wanting to be married, in which you gave a reason to justify it, which was that marriage can be bad in some cases, right? But then it starts to become the non-ending loop, which begs the question, well, what's your solution then? What is the solution? Is the solution to stop having kids? What's the Manosphere solution?
Yeah.
Is the solution to not get married? Well, if the
the solution would be this, right? Now I'm gonna say it from this perspective, right? Is that black people need to stop getting together for love, right? It should be just business, right? We understand that we are attracted to a certain person and we want to be with that person,
right?
But yeah, when it comes down to you bringing kids in a situation, let alone you having money and you dealing with money while you involved with a person, love is not a factor. Like love have nothing to do with really you being a co-parent or you being a parent with another person, or the fact that you're making money with this person. Now we understand you love the kids, we agree with that, but I'm saying like you can actually just, hell, if you wanted to, you can just get a woman who you feel is qualified, right, to be a good mother, let alone she know you be a damn good father, and you ain't got to even really love her like that to actually raise up some pretty good kids, right? To really make money together. I see it happen all the time in business, right? People, a lot of folks don't even like each other, but they do damn good business with one another. Yeah. Now, what I'm saying is that black men and women, we get caught up in this love shit. We get caught up in this love to where we think that it's supposed to be like how it is the first time we end up talking, how we first met and the butterfly phase and the honeymoon phase. We think that's how it's supposed to be for 15 years. And when that runs out naturally, now all of a sudden things just really get bad. And my thing is I never understood when it comes down to a relationship, when you can actually be with a woman or you can be with a man, right? And you guys can pretty much have good chemistry, good vibes. Everything was on point for so many months, so many years, and y'all become the biggest enemies.
As soon as you have a child.
No, and not really the child. We talking about just, hell, I guess when you get tired of one another, right? Or it could be just simply you get bored with the situation, or maybe you get mad with somebody, right? Like I see a lot of things happen with people when they end up having a bad argument. They end up having resentment towards one another. It's always like, it's pretty much in relationships, in black relationships, right? There's us being in the black community, right? It's somebody betrayed somebody, right? Somebody lied about something. You wasn't truthful, right? At one point you was truthful, but all of a sudden now you became dishonest, right? Duplicitous, nigga. Like all of a sudden now, people got to catch you and kind of catch you in real time type shit. You can't just be honest and open no more. You ain't transparent no more, right? Folks start having hate for you based on that. And that's what you see. After a while, you see just black men and women who was all up on each other, year one, year two, let's say year one for sure, right? Here you go, year three, can't stay until the guts. The kid has always been a blessing. The child have always been a blessing. The children never been a problem. I can attest to that. Children never been a problem when it comes down to being born and being alive. They always go along with the flow of the parents. The thing is, the parents make it hard for the children.
Absolutely.
The parents make it to where the kid don't know who to choose because you got your mother saying this, you got your father saying this. They not getting along, and you are confused because you don't understand life just yet at 5 years old, at 10 years old. It's the parents makes it hard for these children and take away from their childhood, right? Other than that, you know, I'm looking at the relationship, how you can be together for so many years and everything was cool, and all of a sudden now you guys are the biggest enemies. Like I'm just gonna give an example, somebody I see on TV, right? Somebody like Martell Holt and Melody Holt, been together 14, 15 years, got 4 kids with each other, right? Been married 12, 13 years. Now they enemies. Why? Because of deceit. How did it get like that? How did it get to that point? Because you start off on some love shit. You didn't start off on some business, even though you guys doing business. You know, they some businessmen and businesswomen. We know that, right? But yet it was a love shit that got y'all caught up to where you still want that old thing back and you're not getting it back. Now, if you look at it from a business perspective, you understand that if you be with a woman, you give it a woman, and we're going to raise these kids up for 18 good years, put them through college, right? Well, we're going to always have that focus, right? That's going to be our focus. We're not going to deter from that because I want to check your phone to see who you texting and shit, or who hitting you up on Instagram. Little shit like that. It's always something sex related, right? For the reason why, or let's say financial related, right? But it really is sex related, or somebody really just not being honest about what they doing when they're away from you. And all of a sudden you like, well, damn, hold on, man. Like, you texting this dude? She worrying about who you texting, who you going to go see. Then who you fucking with? You fucking with this shit right here? And then now all of a sudden, now you now all of a sudden just dwell on that to where you can't get past that to move on to being more productive for why you are supposed to be together. You caught up on trying to, like I say, you're trying to see if somebody's being faithful. And when you realize and you find out that somebody's not being faithful, and all of a sudden now it's like, well, damn, I'm about to try to destroy this individual's life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the part I'm saying. Like, if you take that love out of it, make it a business, I promise you, black men and women can thrive if they looked at it as business partners. So you got a man and a woman, y'all together, y'all business partners, right? And when it's time for you guys to dissolve this shit, hey man, go ahead and do it. My thing, honest truth, this is what I always came up with. I said that you can come up with a contract really every 2 years. You can renegotiate, or let's say renew your contract every 2 years. It's between y'all two. From now to 2023, let's say going to 2024, right? If I'm with a woman and if I want to be with that woman 2024, all right, me and her, we have to sit down and agree, hey, is this a good thing for us to be together for the next 2 years? Not pretending like as if we're going to be together for the rest of our life. So that's when you now mess up. Because now when you start saying things like we're going to be together for the rest of our life, and you expect that to happen, and then all of a sudden now you see that, all right, well, year 5, this shit's not happening. All right, then now all of a sudden you guys gonna try to hold each other to that standard and you just can't do it. This shit just ran its course, right? Well, how about you do a contract every 2 years? Every 2 years, man, we can renew this. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, we can say, you know what? Hey, I appreciate you. I love you, but you take care. I'll see you later. And then no love lost. You guys go your separate ways. And if you want to be together later on, feel free. But like, don't try to be with somebody past the time to where you hate their ass. You're not supposed to hate somebody who you once loved. You understand?
It's a very, very, very interesting perspective, man. I've never heard that, and I'm almost intrigued, to be honest with you, because in a way, I feel like that might be able to work. And I know this is going to shock a lot of people saying this, but yeah, from the most basic form, as far as just looking at business from our marriage as a business institution, having a 2-year contract might not be. Now, obviously, you're taking away from the idea of forever, love forever type, marriage, right? You're taking away from the idea that society looks at marriage as this everlasting type of, fondue of love and gushy emotions affair. So that's going to change as far as that goes. But I know this is very extreme and this would never happen. But in concept and in theory, I mean, it doesn't sound like a bad concept in theory, and it sounds like something that some people would agree to. A lot of people wouldn't agree to it, but you have some people that I think would legitimately agree to that. Hey, let's do a 2-year thing. I think that when you bring a kid into the mix, you're going to have to, have a contract written up for the kids, and things can once again get messy. But I mean, maybe if you have a contract, a legally written paper that doesn't let things get that messy. I mean, but does a piece of paper stop somebody from, pulling up to your house, right? Does a protection order or restriction order stop somebody, or has it stopped guys from killing their girlfriends or wives, right? So, but once again, if we could just paint the perfect brush of utopia and colorize our world here, I think that there'd be a decent amount of people that would actually go for that, kid or no kid in the contract. So very interesting perspective. Very interesting perspective. I want to say that whoever sent me the link, or the subscriber that sent me the link, I'm trying to access this link right now. So thank you for the super chat. Thank you for everybody that's super chat. And for y'all still sticking with us tonight, I've appreciated everybody that's joined the panel. Really interesting conversations. Thank you for making the switch to Zoom. I do Zoom because, one, it's cheaper. B, it actually looks a little cooler when I have my little setup going and everything. The chat box, that big black box y'all are looking at, is supposed to be chats in there. Of course, I messed some things up this live stream. We'll have it all together sooner or later. One-man show here. Rude, go ahead, Rude.
No, you got it. I'm listening to you.
Oh, you're fine, bro. I thought I heard something. What else was I going to say? Fuck. Oh yeah. So I'm trying to access this link. Oh yeah, thank you for the super chat. Yada yada yada. I'm accessing the link. I saw it. So give me 1 second. I'm re-emailing it to myself. We're gonna have a link pulled up because one of our top subscribers wants us to look at something, and so we're gonna look at that. And we're gonna continue this conversation. Obviously, we have to continue this conversation. We have to continue just about every conversation we have at this point because there's so much to say. But I really am thankful for everybody that took the time to come up, and it's apparent and obvious that this, touches a lot of people's personal lives. A lot of people have children. A lot of people have gone through relationships, and a lot of people have a lot of stories. I'm clicking that link for the link that you sent me. I can't. It doesn't work. It's a Facebook link. The link doesn't work. So text me that link again if you can, my dear. Let me refresh the super chat page and make sure that any super chats that I missed. My apologies tonight on the missed super
can I
chat.
say this real fact? I'm looking at the chat room. I just want to just say,
yeah, go ahead.
When I'm talking about the whole without love, all right, of course you're gonna have sex with a person. Of course you're gonna catch feelings for someone. When I say love is you're looking at it from like you want to help that person be better, right? And if that person do not choose to be better, man, you just say, you know what, I got to get up out of here, right? So you got your mindset your mind is already made up that you here for this person as long as they choose to do better as time go on, right? Not you just going based on potential, all right? Not just you going based on hopes and dreams, right? So yes, of course, sex comes with that. And you're gonna catch feelings for that. That's how it is, right? But it shouldn't be the same way of how we was brought up to believe that relationships are supposed to be, to where you falling head over heels for somebody and a person ain't really proved themselves to you. My thing is with a lot of women and a lot of men, but a lot of women, a lot of you women in the chat room, a lot of women, period. You fall in love with a nigga, he ain't proved shit to you. And then that's where you try to give some pushback when there's none to give. You fall in love with somebody, you believe in what a nigga's saying, and he ain't never did anything. He ain't never showed you anything. So like you set yourself up for failure based on words. All right, then you falling deep for some shit, right? Well, all right, well, cool. Well, this guy's proving himself to you. Let him prove himself to you, right? And then you go based on that. That's what I'm saying about that whole love, that love song shit, that romantic shit. Man, that shit is played out because obviously we see that we don't really get nowhere with that type of relationships. But the ones who actually are in it for the right reasons and they're in it because they got a bigger focus, they stay together for a long time. That's what I'm saying. Take some of that love out of it. Whatever you call love, whatever your definition of love may be, take some of it out of it. Look at it more from a business standpoint. That's it. You got it.
Oh, I appreciate that perspective, and I'll say something in 1 second, but I need to make a very, very, very serious announcement right now. We have a very special announcement. It is the first time that this has happened. Well, no, it's not. This is I think the third or fourth time, and probably more. We have a birthday, right? So I want to wish a very special birthday to Organic Black in the chat. Day to you, happy birthday, dear Organic, happy birthday. Let me turn this off. I'm gonna sing this with that instrumental. That shit is not catching me right. All right. Happy birthday, hey, to you. That shit hit. Hold up, Rude. Niggas ain't on my shit, bro. Happy birthday to you. Oh. Happy birthday, dear Organic. That was all right. Happy birthday to you. But in all fairness, I meant that. I tried my best to wish you a very special birthday, Organic Black. Top mod, one of my only mods in the chat. She's here every single live stream for the entire live stream from beginning to end. She donates, she super chats, she's messaged me, she's emailed me, she's checked up on me, we've spoken on the phone, she's called me. She's a solid person, man. You don't find many solid people, bro. You don't find many solid people, and I'm very thankful and I'm very honored to have you as a part of this channel, Organic Black. You and a few others will never really know how much and how instrumental you are to these messages and how many lives, you're going to really, and how many lives you supported and helped to change. So Thank you so much, Organic Black. And my hope and my prayer, if you're a praying woman, if you're a believer, if you're a mystic, my hope, my wish, my grant to you is that everything that you want on this particular day, your 24 hours that have been allotted by mankind to you, I hope that it's the best 24 hours that you've experienced thus far. So happy birthday, my love. Rude, I want to thank you for being on here, for putting up with my singing, for really being patient, for having a different discussion and dialogue amongst ourselves, man. Even though we can, not agree on everything.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Listen,
Thank you,
I want you to come back sometime, if you can, man. Come back sometime because I love having you on, and we can speak a lot more, bro. And I want to figure some more things out. All right, so turn your notification bell on.
Okay, most definitely. You take it easy, man.
All right, bro.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Rue survived, Queen Mercy. Rue survived. Red Wine 65 says, in ancient Hebrew, some of the letters, this is very interesting here. I feel like we need to know this. So let's take a look. In ancient Hebrew, some of the letters are designed based on the women being in the home. Wow. The man leaves the home. The woman is not the man, nor is the man supposed to be a woman. Well, Red Wine, like I said before, we're talking about traditional. Since 2021, hey, most guys, right? Most guys can't pay not the entire house bill, right? Women have to leave the home now. Interesting super chat. Red Wine, good to see you in the building again. Hey, I want to thank you for listening to this discussion. Y'all made it a great stream. I want to thank you for putting up with all the technical errors. Going forward, we have a huge announcement. Tomorrow, we have an interview, live interview. The interview is going to be with the first returning interview of the You Can't Handle the Truth series. So live in studio, we're gonna have a brother in here, man, and he has a lot. So I want to give a few messages to y'all. All right, let's try and go as far as the questions go, as respectful as we can be, because he's a pretty respectful guy. And I don't want it to turn into the same thing that we hate, right? So he's gonna be here tomorrow. And I'm going to let him tell his story, and we're going to talk about his relationships. We're going to talk about a lot. It's a lot for people to sit here and tell everything about themselves, especially for guys, right? Sometimes that could be a big hit. So when we do open up the phone lines and when you're speaking to him tomorrow, let's make sure that we at least try and have constructive criticism, if possible, right? I love y'all. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are always constructive, and y'all have always been respectful and constructive, far more so than a lot of the people that we talk about, guys and girls. I'm not just talking about guys, all right? There's a lot of messed up ladies out here too, and content creators. So, having said that, I'm glad that we don't have to deal with that on this channel. If you enjoyed, leave a like and a thumbs up. Having said that, I wanted to say that the live stream tomorrow will be live stream. However, make sure that you catch the live stream tomorrow, and here's why. The entire live stream video is only going to be available to members on the replay. From now on, every You Can't Handle the Truth live stream, where we have guests and multiple guests, and we have Ruckus in the studio, every single one of those interviews are going to be specifically for the members. There's $3.99 you can buy a membership. The $9.99 members are going to have another award. And the $25 members, there's only 2 right now, are going to have another award. And you're not going to want to miss that. But we're starting the membership program, all right? You can always buy into the membership program. Once you're in, you have access. If your card doesn't renew that month, then you lose access to the content. But there's going to be a lot of content for members only. However, you will still get to see the interview. The only problem is the only way to see the interview is going to be through the chopped up segments. And it's not going to be uploaded on the same day. So the interview is going to be broken down, and it's going to be able to be seen eventually after X amount of days. Typically, I have to take a good amount of time because you don't want to upload. And I know you're going to say, Truth, you're trying to hold the entire interview. No, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to reward the members. I reward the people that are willing to spend money and give them a decent product or give them a product that gives some exclusivity. This is what business is, all right? This is what good practice is. And it's a business because people are willing to give their money to what they want to listen to and watch. This is what business is. So whether or not you decide that it's pandering, it's a business, or whether or not I'm sellout, you can call it whatever you want. I treat my channel, I treat YouTube as a business because YouTube in and out of itself is a business. Without the advertisers, as good as YouTube is, people aren't just going to support out of the kindness. Well, they would, because the people support out of the kindness from the heart here. So I take that back. But at the end of the day, YouTube still has to make very certain very strict, very, regimented laws so they can have their business so YouTube can continue to operate as what it is. So that's what we're going to be doing. You'll be able to catch the entire interview. You're just going to need patience. If you decide to wait on the episodes and not watch anything, then eventually you'll be able to just have an entire catalog to watch and consume at one period of time. How to get away with all that? Just start your membership for $3.99 and go ahead and get that taken care of. First video dropping tomorrow. If you missed the live stream, you'll get to catch the entire episode. It's just going to take a little bit of time for you to catch it, and it's going to be in segment separated videos. Don't kill me. Just trying to do the very best I can. I still want to make sure that you can watch it, but I can't upload a video every day to YouTube because the algorithm doesn't like multiple uploads a day. They're not going to share each and every one of your videos, and views will start to drop. I'll start to get shared less because it's over consummation. There's not enough impression click-through rate on the home page, and once your impression rates go down, and your numbers go down, and your clicks go down, and your donations go down, and everything goes down, YouTube sees you as down. So this is a business move. And it's meant to make everybody, including YouTube, happy, even though it would seem on the outside looking in, as we always say here, that I'm a panderer. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to hope that you have a great evening tonight. The night is still young. Shout out to my overnight people. Shout out to all of our channel members. Shout out to Self Love Heals, Organic Black, Kier 101, Space Zero, Queen Mercy. Shout out to B Shorter. Lovely's in the chat. Shout out to Trunks Vert. Welcome back, Trunks Vert. Jerome Whiteside. Good to see you in the building, Jerome Whiteside. The numbers are going to be eventually one day critical mass. I can tell you that much. Keep on it, Jerome. Don't give up, man. Don't ever give up. There's a more than enough to go around. There's more than enough that needs to be done as far as this entire thing goes. And because things are going to continue to get crazier. We're just in a crazy time, and I'm glad to have y'all in the building. Jerome Whiteside, glad to have you in the building. Red Wine 65, Juice, much love to you, my dear. Angelic Nymph, jeez, I almost said a bad word there. Z Noir Divine, Koja Malik, with the words of the night. Koja brought in some serious. I have to edit this video. It's not going to be up immediately because I have to trim the first, 20 minutes since me not having any audio. I'll have my phone on next time. Please call me and keep calling me. Sorry about that. If I did not say your name, BB Precious Cakes Alpha Omega. If I did not say your name, Sasha Noel. Norfolk Iseni. That's an interesting name there. Sasha Noel. Stop it again. Verify credit score, level of education, longevity of career, medical history, family, medical history, list of medications. Not now says. We stopped 10,000 years ago evolving, explaining how marriage and monogamous union was a business back then. Also explain how our evolved biology is all about bonding and love hormones. Classic Ruby. We might have to figure that out. Candy says it sounds like BS. She was talking about Ty. I believe, maybe not. Not now. Pretty much want you to hire a private investigator if you're planning on getting married or dating at this point. Who knows? But you know what? That's might be what it comes down to. Hey, I'm out. I said this a million times. I'm like a preacher, right? Can I get 5 more minutes, right? The crowd raised their hand and like, okay, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I got an hour more minutes to get this good word of God to you. I know that was really loud. Sorry about that. I do love you. Don't thumbs down the video. I hate when people irate me. Hey, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. That's right. You get the double header. Sunday is the members only live stream. Sorry. Had to do it. Man, I love y'all, man. Man, I love y'all, Enjoy your life. Watch the White Supremacy Hood Thing Part 2. And until next time, take care of yourself, y'all. Crazy world out here. All right? Enjoy it, but just take care of yourself. TheHonestTruthYT@gmail.com. Reach out to me if you need to. I'll speak with you soon. Night.